Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 2021 Success Insight. I'm Erica Morgan, Director of Programs at Dress for Success. I'm so excited that you are here with us today. The mission of Dress for Success is to empower women to achieve self sufficiency by providing a network of support, professional apparel, and the career tools needed to succeed in work and life. The best part is all of our programs are free. We believe in you and your potential. That is why we offer programs that include a unique boutique experience, career center, interviewing for success, professional women's group, boss girl, women to women mentoring, and success insight, which is why we are here today. Did you know the pandemic has disproportionately impacted women's jobs and livelihoods? The term she session has been coined as economists recognize that this is America's first female recession. In September 2020, 865,000 women dropped out of the workforce compared to only 216,000 men. In December 2020, the monthly jobs report documented that women accounted for 100% of the 140,000 lost jobs during that month. Women lost 156,000 jobs while men gained 16,000 jobs. This is a stark contrast to the months preceding the pandemic when women outnumber men in the workforce for the second time in history, a feat that was a culmination of decades of process and women's educational attainment. The inequalities stem from the assumption of women's responsibilities outside of the office. Now, let me introduce you to Brenda. Brenda is a human trafficking and substance abuse survivor. She has been sober for 3 years and has established a job at a car dealership. Through just a few years of hard work, she has been able to buy a house, recover the custody of her children. Brenda is so grateful for Dress for Success for their support. Dress for Success is there to encourage you every step of the process. We are so proud of Brenda. Stories like Brenda is why we are here today to bring awareness to women all throughout Columbus, as well as within our 145 affiliates worldwide. We want to empower, build confidence, and provide a community of sisterhood. So today, we have some phenomenal powerhouse women here to share their wisdom and life experiences with you. We want to thank our keynote, each of our moderators, the panelists, and all of our sponsors. We also really want to thank you for choosing to spend your Saturday morning with us. You could be anywhere doing anything. The sun is shining, it's beautiful, at least in Columbus, but you chose to be here, and we're so grateful to have you here. So throughout the day, feel free to ask questions in the Q&A box and later learn more about our programs at dfscolumbus.org. And do know that throughout the morning, throughout the day, we'll have a chance for you to win raffle prizes. So make sure you participate. Let us know if you need anything, and we are so excited to have you here. Thanks again. And now, without further ado, I would love to introduce you to our first panelist, our first moderator of panel one. We're just going to dive right in. So, Debbie Pinzone. Debbie Pinzone has a distinguished resume as a salon industry innovator, community leader, author, philanthropist, and lifestyle expert. She is passionate about wellness and inspiring others to live their fullest lives and integrating these same principles into the business. Debbie is proud to be a team lead of hundreds. She's a president and CEO of Charles Penzone Incorporated, an Ohio-based group of world-class salons and spas with 6 locations that serve more than 300,000 guests a year. Debbie spent more than 30 years helping to strategically build and evolve the company as a stylist, artist director, training director, and senior vice president before taking the organization's helm in 2008. Additionally, Debbie recently opened Lit Life and Yoga with the intent of spreading and empowering people with the message of wellness, health, and beauty from the inside out. So without further ado, welcome, Debbie.
Thank you. It is my honor to be here today. I'm so excited to share in today's empowering and inspiring program. We have three great, amazing panelists with me, and we're going to hear a little bit about each one of them. So I would like the panelists to welcome them, and we'll go around and have you tell us a little bit about each one of you, and we'll have you introduce yourself and then share with us a little bit about your story. Do you have children and what are their ages, your place of work, and your position? So we'll go ahead and we're going to get started with our first panelist, Liz.
Hi there, my name is Liz Anderson and I work for the Huntington as my day job, but my real passion now is yoga and more broadly health and wellness. I've been active in all sorts of different sports for about 10 plus years, and that was after I retired from team sports. I played adult women's softball and co-ed volleyball and things like that. But as I got older, it became less fun. And so I needed to find things that I could do on my own that maybe were lower impact. And I was constantly trying different things, and I have the discipline to work out at home. I don't need to belong to a gym. I know that I tried all sorts of different DVDs and videos. I did get into yoga to help relieve to deal with a very stressful time in my life. And it kind of came and went. I would get in and out of it. But in the last several years, I just caught on fire. And it's not just the physical practice of yoga that first drew me in, but yoga is a lifestyle, the yoga tradition, just living the values. So that's where I am. I got my 200-hour yoga teacher training shortly before COVID hit. So I had the luxury of doing it all in person. And then when Zoom came alive, that really opened up the door to be able to teach and share it with others at a very low buy-in. So that's what I'm doing right now, sharing my love of yoga and just enjoying everything that it offers.
Well, Liz, you are speaking my language because you know how much I love the power of yoga and connecting to your breath and your body and for wellness. So thank you for sharing your amazing story. I'm excited to have you on our panel today. And let's go ahead and hear a little bit from Caitlin. Let's hear your story.
Hi, can you guys hear me okay? Okay. Perfect. Well, as you can see, I am in my studio. So my name is Caitlin McTigue, and I own all the Club Pilates studios with the exception of just one location, but I do own the rest around just Columbus area. We've got several locations. So I just actually stepped into the world of entrepreneurship full time back in July. I had opened my first Club Pilates studio in Grandview Yard back in 2019. And then our second one in Powell later that year. And then we just opened our third one. I was also working at Cover My Meds during that time as well. So kind of pulling double shifts there, but it was definitely worth it. And I did make the switch to dive into entrepreneurship full time in July when we opened our third studio. We're getting ready to open our fourth and our fifth. So it's definitely, as Liz was saying, COVID has definitely been a challenge, but I'm super humbled and grateful that, our business has been able to, make it through. And clearly we're hustling because I'm, like I said, in our private training room, working the front desk right now and doing this. So I'm just super, honored to be asked to do this. I've been, doing Pilates. I've been a lover of Pilates for about 15 years. Similar to Liz, I just actually finished up my certification as well for Pilates. It is a 500-hour certification, so it's pretty intense. I've been working on it for a while, but that's super exciting because now I'm able to teach at, our studios as well. So thanks for having me today.
Caitlin, thank you for that empowering story of, really finding that passion and your purpose and living it. And right now you're on, right there in the studio. I definitely get that. You have to step up and kind of take all roles when you have your own business like that. But congratulations, that's amazing how you really followed that path. And That's a lot to say, from, where you've been and being able to get 5 franchises. That's amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, now let's hear from our last panelist, Tori. Let's go ahead and hear a little bit about your story.
Debbie, this is Steph. I'm so sorry. Tori isn't with us yet, so we will just continue moving, and I'll let you know as soon as she is.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. Okay, well, great to know. So, okay, well, Caitlin and Liz, it's all about you guys. So let's dive in deep. And really, I think you guys have such expertise in these topics. So let's really get your knowledge. How do you think, how does wellness differ from good health? And Liz, do you want to go ahead and kind of give us your feedback?
Yeah, I'll jump right in. I'll throw some definitions around each. So for me, health is more of a physical and maybe mental perspective. And I think it's more objective in that it's measurable and possibly more treatable or variable. You can directly impact your health by maybe working out or taking a vitamin. Whereas wellness, I see that as a much broader, touching all parts of our life. So it's not just body and mind organically, but it extends into to spiritually, emotionally, and I would say it's easier possibly to tend to your physical health than it would be your wellness, because there's so many different areas and levers. There's you're having healthy relationships, having a healthy balance of work and life, and it's just more encompassing of the self, and it goes to for me the more spiritual, the essence of the person not being the body. So whereas health is tending to the body, wellness is tending to more of the soul, so to speak, and the body.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, because wellness is such a buzzword now. So everybody's trying to figure out what is wellness and how do you, live it. So what would you say, Caitlin?
Yeah, I mean, I think similar answer, to what Liz said. I think when you talk about good health, I think of going to my, general practitioner for my annual visit and getting my blood work and making sure everything looks good. And I'm in, general good health. So I do think good health tends to be a little bit more physical. And like, Liz said, you can, I think, maybe more easily directly impact good health yourself just with, your own physical practices, eating well, things like that. I think they're connected, but I do think that overall wellness goes, a little bit deeper. Liz mentioned spiritual. That's something I didn't have written down, but I really love that. I think it's physical, emotional, and mental. And I often think that you can't really achieve good health unless you have, overall good wellness. I think you need, personal accountability. You need a plan for how, you're going to create that overall wellness in your life. You need, family support, friend support, relationship support. You need to create goals, and you need to hold yourself accountable to that, and I think, we hear a lot about stress and cortisol levels, and that's why I think, overall wellness needs to be achieved first. And then I think you'll see the results in your good health or your more physical wellness as well.
Oh, I love that. Because so often we don't realize that, how much this wellness, this, more expansive wellness about relationships and spirituality and all of that, mental health plays into your overall actual health. So I love what you guys just brought out in that. It's really important to understand too, who are your relationships, who's around you to support you? Are they there for you and really empowering you to live your dream and bring good energy and good support to you? So Thank you. I love those insights. I hope you guys are all writing down some of these good tips because I know I am. So wonderful, wonderful feedback there and some answers for us. And then I guess too, because it's kind of another buzzword, we've been all about it at Penzones, is self-care. This whole thought of, taking care of ourselves. And oftentimes as women, we don't do that. We take care of everybody else first, and then we're pretty burnt out and spent. So what and how do you feel? How do you self-care and take care of yourself and find the time? Let's go ahead and start now with Caitlin. We'll start with you first for this one.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think, for me, obviously I own fitness businesses, I love working out. It's crazy the difference in my mental state that I feel before a workout and after a workout. I'd say the biggest thing is just really, I talked about accountability. It's funny because I own 4 studios, but yet I hardly have time to work out. So I do try to hold myself accountable to getting those workouts in. And what I found too, everyone's like, oh my gosh, you must, work out all the time because you have studios. But I actually try to work out elsewhere, not at my studio, because what happens is, I work out at my studio and then I've got 25 staff members that, have questions and, I want to talk to the members and, and so then I end up not really doing anything for myself. And so that's what I've found is that I'm more successful and I get more benefit, when I kind of remove myself from that. And so, that's probably for me, the biggest thing is, workouts. I've recently tried to be a little bit more stricter with my, my diet, just better meal prep, better meal planning, and then kind of the, typical girly things, skincare routines. I try to I've really tried to like soup up my skincare and my nighttime routine, making sure, I'm staying consistent in, when I'm going to bed, reading before bed, journaling, things like that, watching Netflix, whatever it is to just kind of de-stress and relax for sure. But yeah, I would say the workouts and just kind of meal, prepping to make sure I'm ready for the week. That's typically how I self-care outside of, kind of your typical, type stuff as far as like, meditation, relaxing, having a glass of wine, that type of stuff.
Yeah, I think self-care is just so different for each individual. And that's what I love getting out there and sharing these stories and the feedback, because it's like, every person is different. So what makes you feel like you have a little bit of me time? It might be reading a book or riding a bike or just going on a walk. I think nutrition is so important to understand how it fuels you and gives you good energy. I love how you talk about sleep, and that routine is really important. To really get us in a great energy for the next day, but setting those boundaries and kind of putting that routine together so you can kind of stick with it to give to yourself first before trying to tackle all the other things that we have to do for the family and all of your team at your work and job and everything. It also was really enlightening to hear about how you kind of have to remove yourself from the business a little bit so you can have your little bit of me time. Because I think that's, diving in deep. Sometimes we're in our business and with the kids, and sometimes you need to remove yourself from those different situations. So it's just you, and you're the only one that you need to focus on. So thank you. That's really great feedback. Liz, let's hear a little bit about you. How do you self-care? What do you think, is important when you really dive deep into self-care?
Well, I think I have a pretty good and healthy, hopefully, routine in that every day work during the week is an obvious, but I build in time for exercise throughout the day in small breaks. And my employer is really good about offering online exercise, short get up and move, and also meditation classes. So while I don't partake of all of those, I do make sure that my habits are ingrained. So for work, for exercise, my diet, I'm a person, I eat the same thing every single day. So that's kind of set up for me. I'm very strict about my sleep. I need 8 hours. I am one of those people that I cannot function on less than 8 hours. So it's just part of my routine. And then the latest additions have been meditation. Even if it's just 5 minutes, I have a routine. After I get all cleaned up, after working out, I go in the bedroom, shut the door, and nobody bothers me, not my husband, not the cats. I mean, and I just have an app that I love. InSight Timer is wonderful and it's free. And then I just pick a guided meditation depending on what I need. In some days, especially on weekends, I might do up to a 30-minute, and it's not perfect. It's some days it's wonderful, some days it's not. But I find that just sitting and being still is so important. And self-care to me is really finding ways to refill my tank, and that's what the meditation I think really is helpful for. Is I get so depleted by the end of the day that it's just, there's nothing left. And then by the end of the week, yesterday it was really bad. I was just done. It wasn't 5 o'clock yet, but I was burnt out and there was nothing left to give. So just super important. And I preach it. I really do that. If yoga's not your thing, great, find something else. Go take a walk, ride a bike, like you were saying. Just find something that fills that emptiness that we all get inside us.
Yeah, and that a little bit of alone time too, just that little bit of space where you can take the time to fill your own cup up. Love that. Of course, meditation is one of my favorites too. It just really calms me, but also you can really get energized by it. So I see we have Tori with us. Yay, Tori. I'm glad to see your beautiful face, girl. Welcome to our panel. I would like to start out and have you tell us a little bit about yourself. If you have kids and their ages, your place of work, and your position.
Good morning. Good morning. First, let me apologize. I thought this panel started a little later. One of my positions, I am a fitness instructor at the YMCA, which is where I was on my way from. So I apologize. I am literally coming straight from the Y. My main job is I am a contracts manager at Franklin County Department of Job and Family Services. And in our department, we handle about $35 million worth of contracts throughout the Franklin County area. And Dress for Success happens to be one of them. And it's one of the ones that I manage. And it's an amazing contract. And I look forward to it every year. I think they're still children. They're still in my pockets, we'll say that. But they're 20 and 22, one boy, one girl. I've been with the agency with Franklin County for 7 years now. I've been with the Y for 4 years now. And I literally came in on the exercise piece of the conversation. And that's exactly what I was doing, teaching my exercise class at the Y. And I just think it's so important that, one, you guys were talking about it when I walked in. And it's simply because no matter what type of exercise people want to do or like to do, whether it's weightlifting, Zumba, yoga, anything, it's important because it's that time that you get to spend for you, with you, by you, because you get to choose it. I look at my gym time as the only time that's definitely for me. I'm not a mom, I'm not a wife, I don't work for Franklin County. It's my time, it's on my calendar, and I treat my exercise time just like I treat my work. From this time to this time, I'm exercising. And if it's not an emergency, don't bother me, because that's the only time that I get to myself. So it's very important. So find something you like to do and just do it.
Yeah. Oh, Tori, you gave us so many good takeaways. I hope everybody's writing them down, because that is something that I had to try to start doing. Is I had to put my own self on my own calendar, because you know your calendar. And when you have meetings and you schedule things on your calendar, guess what? You respect everybody else and you show up for them. So if you put your own self on that calendar, show up for yourself. Be there for you. Tori, I just love all of that you gave us, that information of, put yourself on your own calendar. And then you know what? When you have that me time, It's you, just you, truly your own self. You don't have any label on you.
Exactly.
You don't have to be anybody you're expected to be. And you can really do what gives you joy, what makes you happy. Yeah,
Exactly.
I love that. We also asked before you got here, how do you think it differs, or what's the difference between wellness and good health for you, Tori?
For me, when we think about good health, we think about going to the doctor. Well, the doctor said, my blood pressure is fine, and the doctor said my A1C is fine. But when I think about good health, everything is fine. My physical is fine. My mental is fine. My emotional wellness is fine. My financial wellness is fine. My spiritual wellness is fine. Because these are the different components of our life. So wellness encompasses everything that we go through in life daily, not just our blood pressure or our diabetes or, what our weight or whatever. That's just one aspect. That's just the physical health, or oftentimes what we see in the mirror. But there are so many components to wellness that we don't see. No one knows if we're having a spiritual battle. No one knows if we're struggling financially, because those are things that we keep private. No one knows if we're struggling in our marriage, or if our children are having problems and we're dealing with that. So those are emotional issues. Or no one knows if we're having mental issues, because that's something that's really private. So you may go to work and you put that happy face on, but when you get home, you're catching heck every which way but right. And so wellness is everything. And sometimes you could be 100% well here, but completely deflated somewhere else.
Oh, I truly believe that. Wow. And it really does kind of, for me, it visualizes this whole big circle that all those different areas of our life that we're living every day, how important each part plays to that bigger picture of how we're living in wellness or not. And it's constantly changing. And I think important, like you talked about, is that self-awareness. Are we aware maybe right now that I might need to start focusing a little bit more on my finances because I'm getting worried about certain things? Or, wow, I just really need to focus on my relationship with my children right now. So it's always an ever-changing every day and every moment.
I think that as bad as COVID was for many of us, and still is continuing to wreak havoc for us, it was definitely an eye-opener. It was an eye-opener to those of us who may spend too frivolously, to let us know, like, we really can't, make it without a paycheck. It was an eye-opener to us who didn't realize how much we rely on the school system to take care of our children. Not just to teach them, but, if my kids don't go to school, I don't have a babysitter, and I don't mean it to sound, condescending, but your kids going to school is a part of your everyday routine. So when that stopped happening, you didn't have a backup plan, mental health for those who don't really have any other family members. Maybe they're new to Columbus or just moved here because of work. And now they didn't have that face-to-face time with their coworkers and didn't realize I don't know how to be by myself every day, all day.
Yeah. I love that you brought that up because, for us too, I think, what are the ways to nurture that mental wellness, and especially on a budget?
Yeah.
What are ways, maybe I'll go around again and have you guys give some tips on how do we really nurture that mental wellness and ourself on a budget? Let's go ahead and start with Liz.
When it comes to being creative, and I call it cheap, but others call me thrifty, and especially in this day and age, I have found a way to get most things for free or low cost. A great resource to start with is a library card. If you have a library card, you have like the keys to the kingdom. You can find so much online for free, beyond books and movies, but gateways to other types of entertainment and education resources. So check out all the digital resources that your local library offers online. Also, Facebook has been huge for me recently. Our work only offers exercise classes on during the week. And I'm recovering from shoulder surgery, so I'm not currently practicing yoga as I want to. So I'm just really not, I'm only doing a restorative practice right now. So I'm doing a lot of exercise classes, which I can participate in. And so this morning, I've already participated in 2 fitness classes for free through Facebook Live. And you have to evaluate yourself, the quality, and you got to try it. And there's just so much good stuff out there. Also through my work, like the app for the meditation that I offered, it's super simple. And even just for sticking to exercise, especially taking so many classes at home, being creative around the house. When I do teach my yoga class, it's let's say you don't have a mat, that's fine. Just get on a blanket or a towel or a soft surface. You don't have a block, that's fine. Grab a book. You don't have a strap, grab one of your husband's or somebody's tie, or you just make do, bolsters or pillows, and you just go for it. And if you do want to invest, you go over to Five Below and you literally drop a couple bucks. It's not great quality, but I'm taking a step aerobic class through my work. And so I don't even know what the real steps cost, but for, I think, a $13 buy-in, I have the step and 2 sets of risers. So all of it's obtainable. Just, if nothing else, go on to your social media and ask for help with, you know, hey, how can I get this on a budget or for free? So those are just some of my secrets. And I'm interested to hear more so I can learn some other options.
Love all those social media. The virtual world is not going away. And don't we love it? Because there's so many great classes. And like you said, too, the meditations and the wellness, it's all right there. And a lot of it is just live and free. And you can really, join in. And I love how you're trying so many different things. I'd really encourage all of you, keep trying, and you're going to find 1 or 2 of those, exercises or meditations that you just fall in love with. And you'll make it a part of your daily life, but try and try. I love the variety that you're trying. Is really, it keeps you not getting bored too. And then you can really find some that really do really inspire you that you want to stick with. So Caitlin, how about you? For that mental wellness, how do you do it on a budget?
Yeah, so I mean, similar answer to Liz, just as far as, there are, I think, one of the good things that did, come out of COVID. I mean, for fitness places, obviously some of them are struggling, but I do think a lot of fitness providers found a way to pivot their offering to virtual. And used it as a way to survive. And, I know, for example, when we were closed, we know people had lost their jobs. And, for some of them, even if we only charged, $5 or $10 to take a virtual class, it just might not be in the cards for them. And so, I know that's a benefit that we had offered, kind of, pay what you can, or, hey, come do a few for free, on us, because we care about you. And, we want you to have a great experience. And I know we're not the only place, that did that. So, like Liz said, seek those out, Facebook, there are certain apps that'll give you like a free 30-day trial as well for fitness that you could always check out. And if you love it, and then it's, $20 a month and it fits in your budget, but definitely seek those types of opportunities out. I think in addition to just looking for, more, cost-effective fitness opportunities, I was going to take a slightly different angle as well. But I think, my husband we're getting ready to move. And so he's been all over me about like selling my old clothes. Cause now that I only work in fitness, I only wear leggings all day long. And so, all of my business, I just went through all of my old clothes, and I'm going to donate a lot, hopefully soon here, to Dress for Success, because, I'm like, I'm not wearing them anymore, but, I digress a little bit, but, I think the decluttering, the whole KonMari method and just decluttering, I will say that impacts, like, I really kept rolling my eyes at my husband, but, decluttering our house and just kind of going through your clothes. And, some of them I've even, most of them I've donated to either Goodwill. Some of the nicer stuff, maybe I've sold it at Clothes Mentor. You talk about, being on a budget, you can actually make some cash with some old stuff, that you're not using. And I will say, now, of course, my husband loves this because now he knows he was right. But when I come home and, I'm like, oh, everything just looks like clean and organized, for me, that really, in addition to the physical side, that really positively impacts my mental well-being. It just makes me feel more organized. So I would say, start doing little things like that around your house. That stuff is free. And I think it does, have a really positive impact, on your overall stress level, your mental well-being, which then, as I mentioned earlier, is connected to your physical well-being too.
Oh, for sure. Yes. And I love that you're going to give to Dress for Success. We can all go through right now that spring's coming, go through your closets and let's help each other. Let's pass it on and share. So that's a great tip. Okay, Tori, what would you think for that, wellness, mental wellness on a budget?
Sorry, I forgot to unmute. Of course, everything that everyone has already spoke to with regard to fitness. For me, I'm not a loner. I'm a very social person. So not being able to go to work, not being able to hang out as much was definitely an issue for me when COVID first started. So I have a group of friends that we kind of still hang out, together. It's a very select few, but we went back to what used to be game nights. I mean, I'm in the older crowd. I'm in my 40s. So we went back to playing Taboo, and we went back to playing Monopoly, Uno, and different card games. And we kind of rotated, through our 4 homes because, our families are pretty small. So we don't worry about people being, it's too many different places. And so we have that. We cook for each other. We actually did, a couple weeks ago, we did a virtual slumber party. And we literally was on Zoom and we stayed up all night. And, it was like the first one then we met for breakfast in the morning. It was like the first one who fell asleep had to cook breakfast for everyone. So that's how we determined whose house was, breakfast was going to be. So it's just things like that. Something one of my friends suggested to me was journaling. And, it doesn't have to be a fancy journal, although they have them. I went to Family Dollar, bought a 50-cent notebook, and just talked about my day. What were my frustrations? What triggered me? What I could do to make those triggers go away. I know I have a problem with things I can't control in my life. Those are my stressors, and learning how to not worry about things I can't control. So journaling.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that journaling, writing down, being able to know, what does trigger you to have stress or anxiety. And then also, I love the journaling. I've always done it too. It's the gratitude, writing down a couple little things you're grateful for that day that happened. And it's the littlest things that don't cost any money, just, holding my husband's hand, or just those little moments that you can write down. And I grew up in a big family of 7, and our grandma lived with us. And we loved playing cards and games. We all got around the kitchen table. And it's such a bonding experience with friends and families to have that, card game and board games. And again, it was a great tip to be able to share that you'll probably move forward and still continue that. Because I know there's so many apps, even on the phone. My sister's in Atlanta, and we played a card game on the phones together, and we just love that. It was euchre, and we could all play and see each other from around the country, but we felt like we were right there together at the kitchen table again. So love that feedback. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yes.
So sorry, we have just a few minutes left, and I was wondering, we got a question from a guest that asked, when you fall off the wagon that day, what do you do and how do you pick yourself back up? And if you don't mind, I might have you close us out with an answer to that question.
Gosh, I think just when you do, you have that self-awareness. So you're so tuned into yourself that you are like, okay, I just totally am stressed out and worn out and did not take care of myself today. So you let it go. You don't judge yourself. You give yourself a break. We are so hard on ourselves. Do you know that? I mean, sometimes just that awareness of your self-talk, we beat each other, our own selves up sometimes with our self-talk because we don't do this, we don't do that, we didn't do this. Giving yourself that grace and saying, okay, it didn't work out today. Don't judge yourself, and then say, let's go. We have the next moment, in the next second, I can once again start again. And that's a blessing that we all have every day, each moment. We can take a breath, we can inhale and exhale stress, and we can start right all over again. But please, 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 let's all be kind to ourselves. Self-love and self-care. We can't be those super women in every moment, and know that without judgment, and be able to pick it up the next second and just have to live your life in that moment, and be strong enough and brave enough to know right now in this moment, this is where I am. So accept it without judgment.
Awesome. That is absolutely perfect. Perfect. You ladies have been incredible, and we could not be more honored to have you with us here today. We hoped you all learned a little more about how to kind of balance and manage your self-care, and give yourself grace. Just give yourself grace. You can do this. Ladies, thank you so much. I'm going to have Jess move us on and bring up our next presenters. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you. Take it away, Bridget.
Thank you so much, Debbie. Want to take time to thank Debbie, Tori, Liz, and Caitlin so much for your time and delivering all the meaningful content to our sisters with us today. Now more than ever, it's so important to really nurture that mental wellness and that self-care. One of the team members always says, treat yourself, shouting you out, Jessica. Take full advantage of those moments. Love the virtual slumber party and the gratitude journal. Definitely gonna have to put that on my to-do list. And Debbie, again, I love what you left us with. It's really important to really be kind to yourself and those around you. So thank you, ladies, so much. And now I'm going to bring up Liz. Ladies, right, we're at home or wherever you are. I want you to get up for a moment. We're going to nurture ourselves with a little care. Liz Anderson has put together a wonderful movement video. I believe it's chair-based, but nothing too intense. You will fully enjoy. And now here we are with Liz. Thank you.
So let's jump right in and have a mid-event stretch. Before you do anything, first of all, I ask you to just freeze in place. Don't move a thing. We'll start with a little self-awareness. Now check out where your feet are, where your legs are, where your sit bones and hips are, where your waist, spine, where your shoulders are, your neck, your head, your arms. Chances are you are not sitting anything like I am right now. Now, let's all get to this spot that, in fact, I'm in. Let's begin by putting both feet flat on the ground, knees comfortably apart, hip width distance, maybe a little wider. You're seated towards the back of your chair. Your pelvis is neutral, so you're neither rounded down or kind of hillbilly forward. Spine is upright. The crown of the head is reaching towards the ceiling. We're taking the shoulders and we're pulling them down and away from our ears. And then we're taking our shoulder, the tips and the blades back behind us. So we're pinching our shoulder blades together, opening up our chest and our arms can just dangle down beside us. The last thing we'll do is we're floating the back of our head a little bit behind us so that our ears are aligned with our shoulders. How does it feel? Probably feels a little strange, doesn't it? This is what good posture looks like. It honors the natural curves and straight stretches of our body and doesn't put unneeded stress or tension on our joints and muscles. So since that's not how we're sitting, like most likely, we'll go ahead and do a little stretching to work out some of the kinks and tightness that we encounter just from sitting today and from sitting day after day after day. So starting in just a comfortable upright seat, let's drop our chin to our chest, just gently taking our gaze down, rolling the head forward. And while we're doing movement, be sure you're breathing deeply. So pull a nice big belly breath in through your nose, taking it all the way down to the base of your seat, letting your belly expand and your chest rise. And then maybe sighing that out through an open mouth. Next, we'll take the left ear to the left shoulder. So rolling our head over to the left. Our gaze can stay out in front of us. Again, breathing deeply in through the nose and breathing out. We'll take the neck or the head and chin back down and flip it over to the other side. So left ear to right ear to right shoulder. And then we'll begin with some just gentle half circles, maybe taking the head back and forth, rolling it from shoulder to shoulder, or taking it all the way around if that feels good, working out the kinks, but being gentle with our neck as it is a fragile area in the body. Moving on to the shoulders, we'll take some shoulder rolls. So maybe start by pulling the shoulders up, rolling them back, taking them down, bringing them forward, up, back, down. So rolling, we can incorporate our arms. And then take it the other way. So up, forward, down, back. Next, we'll take a gentle twist of the spine. So taking the left hand outside the right knee. On the inhale, we want to reach up through our spine and then take our right arm behind us, maybe just taking hold of the chair, and gently twist, turning the body over to the right, and finally taking our gaze behind us, but only as far as feels good. Taking deep breaths here, we're extending up on the inhale and twisting on the exhale. Returning back to center, we'll take it the other way. So right hand goes outside left knee, left arm comes behind. Inhale straight up through the spine, and exhale gently turning behind us, making a gentle twist. Just honoring our spine and our back, being mindful of our neck. We do want to stretch it so we can push things to the edge of discomfort, but we find that edge and we stop. We should never be feeling any pain. Coming back to center, we can do some cat-cows here. So assuming you have room, taking hands to knees, we inhale, pulling the belly forward, lifting the head up. We inhale into a cow, and exhale, we take our backs out, hollow out our belly, take our belly to spine, rolling back, dropping the head and the gaze, and we roll into cat. Inhaling forward, taking our gaze up into cow. And exhale, rolling back into cat. Getting all of our spinal movement here. One more into cow. And then into cat. Moving down to our hips, we'll take a nice figure 4. Knee if you're able. It might be look way up here with the knee raised, that's fine. Or maybe you're able to bring the leg more level. The goal here is to apply a little pressure to the knee, feeling the stretch in the outside of the back hip, the back corner of the hip. So gently, maybe pulsating it, feeling the openness. You can increase it by leaning forward a bit with a flat back. Really feeling it in there now. So it would look like this, flat back, applying pressure on the outside of the knee and feeling the stretch really in the outside corner of the hip. Our hips are where we hold a lot of our stress and tension. We'll take it over to the other side. So right knee comes, or right ankle comes over left knee. And don't be surprised if they're incredibly different. I can tell both from seeing my picture and from the feel that this hip is much tighter than the other side. It might just be the day of the week, or maybe it's always like this. That's the way I sit, who knows? But again, applying a little pressure, just being gentle with our knee, but also gentle on the stretch, enough to feel that it's opening up a bit. And again, leaning forward with the flat back really heightens the stretch in that back hip. To wrap it up here, we'll come to the edge of our seats and extend our legs straight. And leaning forward with the flat back, we'll get a stretch in the back of our hamstrings. So legs straight, flat back, maybe just running the hands down the tops of the legs. Again, feeling the stretch all through the hamstrings, which run the length of our legs, especially up towards the base of the hip. Reaching towards the toes, but we're not grabbing or forcing. All right, and coming back to an upright seat, taking any last movement, maybe just a gentle wiggle and a twist, or maybe you wish to stand up and walk around for a few minutes before you head back to your next session. But I hope you enjoyed this little stretch break, and I know your body thanks you. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, Liz. I hope you ladies enjoyed that. Really something you can implement in your life as you sit anywhere to bring down those stressors in your life as they come. So now we're moving on to panel 2, maximize your potential and level up. It is my pleasure to introduce Hiliary Sievers. Hiliary Sievers was named the 2020 Class Makers at Morgan Stanley Wealth Management and is the Vice President of Field Talent Development at the firm. Hiliary is part of the team responsible for developing various levels of field leadership across the United States. In her career with Morgan Stanley, Hiliary has led and designed results-oriented development programs centered on key leadership principles, fostering a culture of performance success. Her team is charged with elevating learning opportunities and resources across the business, where she is also able to coach and mentor professionals throughout their career. And she is on the Dress for Success board. Hiliary, I'm passing the torch. Welcome and thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks, Bridget. Taking that torch, and I'm still standing. So I don't think we always realize how much we need to do those things to really get our energy back. But it's so important, especially for those who may be at home, working at home, right? Remembering to get up and stretch and move and think about, our physical wellness is so important. What an introduction, Bridget. Thank you. I have had the pleasure, to partner with Bridget and the team at Dress for several years now. And, as I hear all these stories today, I see my panel coming up here. Good morning, Sarah, Marketta, Cassandra. So good to see you. You all may not realize it to the audience, but these women today and each of you in the audience listening, we all have the ability to make each other want to up our game, right? When we hear each other's stories, it plants a little seed of possibility, of opportunity. And so as you're listening today, don't listen with envy, right? Listen with the ear of opportunity. Listen to want to up your game. And that's exactly what we're talking about here in this panel 2. I'm pleased to introduce Sarah Knudsen, Marketta Franklin-Thomas, and Cassandra Binkley. And thank you, Debbie, and panel 1 for really, helping us think about how we manage our emotional and physical health. Like I said, that piece, that is a huge piece of the puzzle. And I would argue that it is the foundation, right? It's the foundation for being able to even have the capacity to think about how we level up in our careers, right? We cannot level up in our careers unless everything else is in order. We cannot think about others. We cannot think about ourselves until those things are right. So now that you have that foundation of wellness, right? Let's talk about just that, leveling up, being intentional, working toward our goals, overcoming obstacles, and the key skills, right? The key skills that you need to do those things. So let's first out of the gate here, kind of start by introducing each of you, each of our panelists today, and then we'll get into the meat of our conversation. So Sarah, I'll come to you first. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you work, your area of expertise, and maybe just one other thing you think we should know, whether that be, family, do you have children? What are you passionate about? I'll come to you first, and then we'll go around here to our other panelists.
Great. Thank you, Hiliary. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Sarah Knudsen. I am a relationship manager at Bank of America here in Columbus. And I work with corporate companies and helping them with their financial needs as a company. I've been in banking for 20 years and have done a variety of things. I'm hoping to share with you one of my stories. Born and raised in Cleveland, lived in Texas for 12 years, just moved back to Ohio. And I've got 2 little kids, 7-year-old twins, boy-girl twins, and, coming off of the wellness thing, I think that's so important. I started jogging with this pandemic. So feel good, think about what I started doing 12 months ago, and I could barely run a mile. And now 12 months later, I'm feeling much better and up to 6 miles a day. So,
wow.
Right. Yeah. So I never would have thought I would be doing that at this time in my life. But anyway, so love the wellness conversation. That was great. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. That's incredible. Cassandra, I'll come to you next.
Hi, good morning, everyone. It is such a pleasure to be here. I'm so thrilled to be able to participate in this. I am a senior human resources business partner with Bob Evans Farms, corporate office here in New Albany in Columbus, and have been there several years. And I've been in HR for a long time, we'll say. I'm married, I've got 3 young adult kids. So I've always been very passionate about, as I've worked with my own kids and their friends, seeing them process their life, their, opportunities and things that they may have for career choices and just experiences, life experiences. I love the mission of Dress for Success for that reason, because it kind of marries that for me. It feeds that ability to be able to mentor, to be able to collaborate and partner with other sisters. They're along this, different parts of the journey. So, and I love the wellness journey too. I've tried lots of different things. Love the stretching. That was really good. Part of my job, I sit a lot. So it's great to have that reminder of, you need to sit and stretch and kind of get up, because you can sit here for, 8 or 9 hours a day. And that's not good. Our bodies aren't made for that. So my favorite workout is boxing. So I like doing that because that gives the physicalness of it balances the sitting that I do. So that's me.
Excellent. Thank you. Marketta, I'll come to you next. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Hillary. I am so pleased to be here with you this morning. And my role at American Electric Power is I lead employee and learning development. And I have been with AEP. It was actually 26 years, just a couple of weeks ago. And I, like Sarah, have done many roles, and I've had quite a journey at AEP, of which I'll share a little bit of insights. I live with my husband, and we have 2 daughters at home. We have one daughter who is out of the house. We also have a grand girl, and I really kind of just could not handle the grandma, mama title, so she calls me Peach. So I have a grand girl, and I'm her Peach. And then our 2 daughters that are at home, one is getting ready to graduate from high school, and one is in college. So we have been dealing with all of those challenges through COVID, along with our sweet puppy Cheeto. And it's just been a wild ride. And some of the things that I love to do, I love art and I love fashion. And that's my guilty pleasure. It's just to kind of dig into history of those things, history of art, history of fashion, and look at blogs and things like that. So that's my little bit of a guilty pleasure. But I'm so excited to be here with you guys today.
Beautiful. Thank you, Marketta. What a range of experience and expertise that we have here, hearing all of these roots that you have in your careers. I know we have some great insights in store for the audience today. So let's dive in, shall we? Sarah, I want to start out coming to you first for the next 5 to 6 minutes here, really talking about how we encourage the audience, right, today, to really kind of get out of our own way, right? Get out of our own way and take intentional actions toward our goals, right? Setting goals is such a big piece of reaching the goal. But then getting out of our own way to actually take the steps toward that. And I know you have a story to share with us from your own personal experience. Really looking forward to hearing that. So I'll pass the microphone to you.
Great, Hillary. Yeah, I would love to talk about that. Setting goals and getting out of our own way. Kind of pulling in what Debbie Penzone had mentioned just about change. That's the first thing I think about is when you're working for a company, change is constant. Preparing you for the inevitable change, I think, is something that I, learned the hard way. Being in banking for a long time, at one point in my career, I had a job doing international banking, and I loved it. I thought I was at the top of my career. I was super happy. My boss was amazing. I couldn't ask for a better job, right? And I was very comfortable and just thought, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. I'm totally set. I'm happy. Well, I'm sure you've been in situations where you either really love your job or you're not too excited about it. And you're just like, oh my gosh, what do I do? So In my case, 4 years into this job that I really loved, thought I could do it for the rest of my life, the powers of be, decided to make some major changes. So my boss was removed and a new boss came in, and I just wasn't ready for this new situation, right? Completely different management styles. And I'm sure we've all been through that, where you have a new manager and you're just like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? How do I get along with this new manager? I have to adjust to his or her work style. And I just really struggled with that. It was a very detail oriented, very stressful work environment. And my twins at the time were 2. So I just was stressed at home with the little twins. I was stressed at work. And at some point I told my husband, like, I can't keep up. I just can't keep up. So, and I'm sure many of you have felt that way. You're just like, oh my gosh, I just can't do this. There's just too much stress. So anyways, long story short, this new boss, his objective was to kind of slash and burn. And I definitely knew I was on that list of getting cut. So, 6 months into that, I moved over to another group just to get out from underneath that. And, I just hadn't prepared myself. Like I was in this mindset where I'm like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. This is great. And I was just so focused on that I hadn't thought of the bigger picture. So then I move over to this other group. I'm not really that happy there. And I kept reminding myself, this is just a stepping stone. Hopefully something else will come up. And luckily it did. Bank of America came my way. And when I started working at Bank of America, I was like, I'm not going to make that same mistake. I'm going to prepare myself for change. So when my boss said, hey, Sarah, I want you to also take on another volunteer work at work and get familiar with the digital aspect of our banking to be able to promote digital things, digital services within the bank. And I was like, well, gosh, I can barely do things on my cell phone. I don't know about this digital thing, but I'm like, what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to learn and I'm going to do it. And now, in addition to my job as a relationship manager, I am also spearheading a team of 15 people. And I'm leading this group of people, which I never would have thought I would be doing, like leading a team of people about digital stuff. Oh my gosh, so now I've developed another skill set, which, I was like, okay, so if something doesn't happen here with this job, my day job, then I've got this technology background that I've been building for the last 2 to 3 years. So anyway, I just want to share that with you. If you're in a job where you love it, you don't think you can do anything else, but you're in a job where you're not too happy, you've got to think about, well, what are some other things that are interesting at this company? Who can I reach out to learn more about? Who can I tap into, or what resources can I tap into to expand my world? So hopefully I didn't go over the time there, but.
Oh, absolutely. You know what? The story is so powerful because it really speaks to the environment of change, right? And the need for change. And one of the things that we do without even noticing it is we constantly try to figure out how do we serve, our goals, but then also that has to align with the goals of something bigger, right? So maybe it's the way that our organization is changing, right? Maybe it's the way that the world around us is changing or our families are changing. And being able to align your goals in a way that it will provide value now and increased value in the future is so important. And it makes us indisposable, right? And it gives us that cushion to know that, hey, you know what? If what I'm doing right now maybe isn't going to be a long-term thing, I might have this other piece of skill and experience in my back pocket to pull from. And so that is, I think, you are explaining exactly how we get, out of our way to explore new opportunities and to be intentional about reaching our goals. Thanks for sharing that story, Sarah. When we think about doing that, it can be tough to be and stay motivated, right? Especially when you feel like you explained there's a threat coming in the door, right? There are some risky things maybe happening and I don't quite know how to handle them. And so I want to hit on that today too. I really want to hear, how do we stay motivated when conflicts come up, when obstacles arise, when there are these ceilings and these walls around us that we cannot figure out how to crash or break through? And for this topic specifically, Marketta, I'd like to come to you and I'd like to hear, what is your advice for staying motivated despite the conflicts and the obstacles around us?
Yes, well, I thank you so much, Sarah, for what you shared, because I think that if there's anything that we've learned in 2020 is that change is inevitable and that there are going to be disruptors, right? There is no way to get around that. And so there are going to be disruptions in our lives that we may see coming or we may not see coming. And I know COVID is one of those things that I clearly did not see coming, and I think it hit us all. And when I think about that idea of, how do you stay grounded? What are the things that you need to do when you are faced with the obstacle, when you're faced with the challenge and you're in the eye of the storm and things are difficult? And so in thinking about that, there's two things that I think about. And these are things that have served me well. I haven't had a charmed life, right? And so I didn't have a charmed life, and getting to AEP, and I had some things that, were in my childhood, some traumas and some things that I had to address and deal with as a young person. And when I got to AEP, my journey, I started in the call center, taking phone calls as a call center rep. And it has been a wonderful journey, but it has been quite challenging. And there have been things that I've had to face along the way in my personal life and in the journey of building my career. And when I think back, everybody wishes that they had that charmed life. And sometimes you're like, man, I wish this was easier. I wish it wasn't always hard. And it's easy to get into that mindset of, why do I have to struggle? Why are things always hard for me? And I think the biggest piece of advice is to never be resentful or regretful about your journey. And the late Maya Angelou, who is my hero, my shero, she has a book that's called I Would Take Nothing for My Journey Now. And I think that the title is fabulous, but the key word is now, right? So that to me illustrates that she understands that when you're in the eye of the storm, no, it doesn't feel good, right? And it's going to be hard and it's going to be tough. But when you get on the other side of the storm, if you have committed yourself, right, to giving yourself grace, which is something that we heard this morning in our first panel, if you've committed yourself to doing the things that help you get better every single day, if you are investing the time to learn and make sure that you have opportunities, you expose yourself to positive energy, you expose yourself to positive things, you're doing that introspective work to focus on how to get better every single day. When you get on the other side, you can say, I would take nothing from my journey now. And I'll give you guys just a really simple example, because that can show up in your lives subtly or in like really big ways. But a subtle way for me that I just really, it's a really just simple thing. But in taking calls at the call center early on, when you're on the phone, you are really basically talking to customers who have a problem, because most of the time customers don't call AEP and talk about their electric unless something's going wrong. And I can remember customers calling and you hear all kinds of language, you have all types of tense situations. And what I learned is that arguing, that customer who would be, cussing and just, giving you all kinds of heck about the fact that their electricity is cut off, you tend to get in your feelings about that, and you tend to really take those things personally. But I remember as a child coming home from school and having the electricity or the water cut off. And I remember what that felt like as a child. But more so, I remember my parents on the phone, being frustrated, feeling ashamed, and having just a way of, trying to figure out how to deal with this very frustrating situation. And so in my job at AEP, I thought back to that situation. And so that journey of having, having our electricity cut off, not having hot water, and seeing my parents go through that, I transported myself into an ability to see my customers. So instead of getting upset because someone's cussing at me or arguing with me, I was able to see them, feel them, and help them. That ability was what really catapulted my career, because then I became able to take all of the escalated calls, and it really just opened up doors. It's a long story, but just the ability to tap into my own previous experience is what really helped me to understand that that journey was something that really gave me strength. It is something that I could tap into at a later time. And so I think that that's really, truly important when it comes to dealing with obstacles. And then you also have to have, a personal system, making sure that you're investing that time every single day to do the work. Focus on creating positive energy, putting positive people around yourself, watching what you read, watching what you listen to, watching who you're around, and making sure that you're talking and giving good, healthy words to yourself and putting healthy words out there in the universe. And if you can commit to those things and not be resentful about your past, and make sure that you have a system that helps you be inspired to pause, do the work every single day, even when it's hard. Don't stop. Don't be distracted by those things. I think that those are the tools that you need to have every single day, every job, every time, to help you get through the obstacle and out of the eye of the storm.
I love the term, kind of coining eye of the storm, because those can be things that we don't even realize are storms in the moment, right? And then we look back on it and, sometimes I don't even realize I had a bad moment in my day until my wife asks me, how was your day? And I go to say good. And then I say, but, and then I realize, you know what? I was in the middle of a little bit of a storm there and I didn't even realize it. We just kind of navigate through, but we've got to stay tapped into those moments so that we can overcome them intentionally. And I'd like to ask you, in terms of affirmations, right? What do you tell yourself? What's helpful to you to think or to tell yourself when you're in that moment, when you're in the eye of the storm?
So I love the whole concept of affirmations, and I am tiptoeing into that. But there's one thing that I know that I just kind of stand firm in, and that is that I have found what my purpose is. My purpose is to serve and to help people thrive. And I've realized that no matter what job I do, what company I'm with, what role I'm in, I am always about serving and helping people thrive. So when things get hard, Marketta, your role, your purpose is to serve and to help people thrive. So figure out how to hit pause, get your mind right, and figure out how to get back into your purpose and how to get back into your mode. And so those are the things that keep me going. Even when things get tough, things don't always happen the way you want them to. And when it's challenging, I just have to go back to my center and remember that I'm here. It's not always about me, right? It's about figuring out how to get back in alignment with what my purpose is.
I love that. It's almost that kind of hearing, I'm assigned to this, right? And it might not be easy and it might be very hard, but if I can help others achieve what they need, I can achieve what I need.
Absolutely.
Outstanding. Thank you, Marketta. So there's some keys to the kingdom here, right? We're getting a lot of really great coins of of how we excel, amongst turmoil, or even when we're thinking about career changes, or we're thinking about how we thrive in the career that we're currently in. So I want to talk a little bit about those things, right? Those things that are attributes of successful women. And Cassandra, I'd like to come to you to talk about this one. But, when we think about what works in any, that's transferable, right? In any career, what are those key attributes of successful women? And, what are the things that you do yourself to remain successful in serving your organization and your team?
Yeah, it's a great question. And when I think about success, I think we all have to first, when we're talking about what makes someone successful, you have to think about what is that definition. And it's going to look different for each one of us. So what I define as successful might be different from someone else. But, you know, in the work world, there is a level of resilience that I think women in particular, we need to be able to have. So you need to be able to know yourself and know your strengths as well as your areas of opportunities. And I think for me, I always go back and I do a lot of introspective work, and I evaluate myself and understand what areas am I really good at? What are my passion areas? What are the things that I really like to do? What do I find myself gravitating towards? And what do I find myself kind of avoiding and doing? That helps me understand where I'm going to do best if I want to achieve a level of success, right? So if I really, you know, find myself that I shy away from doing a particular task, I'm not going to really do well in that, because it's just not the thing for me. At the same time, I always try to volunteer and do extra things, because that's how you get. My dad used to always talk about having more tools in your tool belt. And I think about that a lot, because it may not, and this is very similar to what Sarah was talking about as well, it may not be something that you're currently doing, but if it's a tool that you have that you will maybe be able to use in the future, or maybe use on the side with what you're currently doing, that's an advantage to you. One of the other things that I think about is being approachable to others, being authentic, and bringing your whole self to whatever you're doing. That is a level of success that only you can do. I can only be me, and you can only be you. And so I have to be authentic and understand and know myself so that I can be the best me. And then when I'm that best person, then I'm going to be successful. So I've defined that for myself of what that looks like for me. And that could be successful in my home with my children. It could be successful in the workplace. It could be, you know, whatever environment that is. I make that definition, and I understand that, you know, from the outset. So I think those are, you know, some other things that, you know, I think about as far as success. But I also think about having humor in your daily life, because life, particularly, we've all talked about it during this COVID period, has become very stressful and pretty serious. And so, you know, while we're either, if we're trying to achieve that next level promotion, or we're trying to survive for the day today, there does need to be a level of humor and just you bring in some levity to the situation, because that's what's a healthy thing for you, and it's healthy for those that are around you. And then lastly, I'd say practicing gratitude. At the end of the day, every day, I tend to kind of cycle over my day, and probably sometimes I think too much and replay things a little too much, but part of that practice is to understand, you know, what's my takeaway? You know, what do I have that, you know, that was really good, that was a great, you know, opportunity that I had, or you know, a great conversation or experience that I had, and be grateful for that, because even in this time that we're in, and with stressful days, things can, when you think it can't get any worse, it can sometimes. And so I want to always have that mindset of being grateful for where I am, and also helps me be able to plan for tomorrow.
That's fantastic. And I think, you know, especially through the pandemic, we've all had moments where we had to literally stop in our tracks and say, you know what, I am really thankful for what I do have, because there are so many challenging and difficult situations. And I heard the analogy about, you know, being in the ocean and we're all in the same boat, but we really aren't. We're all in the ocean and we're all in different boats.
Different boats.
And the more that we can remember that, you know, the more that we can allow the space for others to navigate the waters of, you know, around their boat, right? And the storm that they might be in that moment, and help them through it. Those are such great tips for really kind of showing up authentically. And I want to talk just really quickly, if we could do kind of like a lightning round here. We'll get to resources in a second, because I think that is such, a key part of development. But I'd like to kind of throw a wild card in here on the topic of authenticity, because their authenticity is such a buzz right now, right? We want to create spaces of inclusion and belonging, and we want to welcome people as their authentic selves. At the same time, we want to do that appropriately, right? So working in a professional environment can sometimes feel a little bit stuffy, and maybe we can't quite show up as ourselves. So what would be one tip that you have for the audience in showing up appropriately authentic? I'll go to you first, Sarah.
I was going to ask you if I could have some more time on that question. No. Well, so at Bank of America, we have different employee networking groups. So LGBTQ and Asian American and African American. So I think from my perspective, I have an organization, a company that provides those things. So, for me, it's reaching out, like trying to be part of those organizations, whether I needed to find others like me or I needed to learn about others who are different from me. So, if you've got if you're working for a company that offers those, I highly recommend it. You learn so much, and you really get to know other people. Like, sometimes you hear a manager talk about his or her life, and you would never have known on a day-to-day basis what that person has gone through. So I think if you have that opportunity to be involved in some sort of employee network, or maybe you start one, I don't know, but
yeah, the
that's
network,
just one.
I love that. The networks that you have at your disposal in your workplace, or even, free networks around you. If you're not currently working, right? What is the resource around you that you can tap into to better connect with people, to better understand yourself and those around you? That's great. Thanks, Sarah. Marketta, I'll come to you.
Yes, I think that, being able to bring your whole self to work is critically important. And I think that organizations have work to do, right? To create space for people to feel comfortable doing that, and to hold water for those employees, and for us to be able to hold water for one another, hold space for each other in doing that. So when you're in a situation, whether or not you feel like your organization has created that space for you, or if they're on the journey of doing that, understanding your story, right, and understanding your experiences create such a beautiful they add so much power, so much color, so much energy to the tapestry and the DNA of the organization and the work that you do. And so it may not feel like it, and it may not seem like it, but that information, that insight, those experiences, and who you are and your personality, all of your color and all of your beauty is necessary for organizations, for teams to be able to thrive, to get to the outcomes that they really expect, right? So success is really realized when the diversity of thought, the diversity of experiences, and the diversity of people is fully recognized. So having courage and being brave enough to show up and say, I have an idea, I have a thought, and to continue to ask questions and to be curious, and to do it in a way that it's not, it's not bodacious, although it is a little bit, right? Or it can be. And I think that's okay, but just being brave enough to bring your whole self to work and to really ask questions and share those insights, because they are necessary to the work that we're doing and to success.
It absolutely is. Fiber, it connects us. It connects us as employees, as teams, as an organization. Thanks, Marketta. Cassandra, shed some light on us.
When I think of that, I also, when we talk about bringing your whole self to work and that, there's also a level of vulnerability that happens too. And so just like what Marketta just said, you've got to have that courage. And maybe you're not, bold and out there and, wow, here I am, but you can still do that in small spaces. You can do that with one or two people, but you're also offering to others to also be able to be their authentic self, and for them to be able to share their vulnerability so that they can be who they are. Because other people may also be, holding back and not showing up as their full self too. So I think if we all have this, someone's got to start the game. Someone's got to say, I'm going to be, who I am. And that gives grace and space to someone else to be able to say, I can have the courage to do that too. So
that's right. I love that you brought up the topic of being vulnerable, right? And actually one of my very favorite quotes, I have it sitting here on my desk, is from Brene Brown. And it states that being vulnerable is the birthplace of creativity and change, right? If we want to create change and be a part of that movement, we have to be vulnerable. Thank you for sharing, panelists. We did prepare some resources that we want to share, and we have 2 minutes. So I'm going to do a lightning round here because resources are so important for us to tap into as we think about our development. And so aside from being in these panels, right, and listening to people speak and having a mentor or a sponsor or a coach, reading and listening to things helps us elevate. So let's go around, 15 seconds here. Sarah, I'll start with you. What is one resource that you would recommend?
Sure. Someone gave me this book. It's called Working Out Loud. It's about being more visible with your work. But there's one thing in here that I really like, and I think about when you're getting ready for an interview, you're nervous. When you have to do public speaking, you're nervous. You feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not good at this. Well, this thing in here, this phrase here really helps me think about that. I'm just not good at this, you might say to yourself. But remember, you're just not good at it yet. That's the part I want you guys to go away with. Like, you might not be good at it yet, but you will be. You just got to keep practicing. You just got to keep doing interviews. You just got to keep reaching out, get out of your way, and just keep doing it, and you're going to get better.
Oh, I love that.
Whatever that may be. So.
Yeah, I love that. I wrote that down. Marketta, I'll come to you next.
Yeah, so I'll give you guys a picture. This is the Focus 3 podcast with Tim Kite and Urban Meyer. I love this. The key tenet of this podcast is what you believe drives how you behave, which drives your outcomes. And it's just a fabulous resource for navigating through your personal challenges. That's the Focus 3 podcast.
I'm going to tap into that. That's a great thing about resources. They're endless. We all find little nuggets, and then it's our job to share them. Cassandra, I'll come to you.
I had such a hard time deciding, but the one I'll share is Stacey Abrams' book, Minority Leader, How to Lead from the Outside and Make Real Change. And in it, there's a quote. She says, I confronted these expected stereotypes by knowing what they were and building an alternative narrative about myself. So when I think about success and I think about, progress and growing, people have a way, and we were just talking about being authentic and that people tend to think that they know who you are and have you figured out. But I love the reminder that I get to create and work to tell the story about myself that I want to be heard. And her book is full of wonderful little nuggets like that. So Stacey Abrams, How to Lead from the Outside and Make Real Change.
I just started that one, so I will let you know all of the nuggets that I pull out of there. Thank you for being a part of our panel, Sarah, Marketta, and Cassandra. We're going to close up panel 2 here and open up for a poll. Again, audience, by being a part of the poll, I believe that you are entered into a raffle. And so we're going to go ahead and facilitate that poll here. If you could go ahead and quietly or loudly, although our panel cannot hear your clap, let's give them a round of applause. Thank you for being here with us today. And we'll start that poll question if you could go ahead and answer that poll question, and then we'll turn our attention to our keynote speaker today. I'm still thankful for the advice to stretch and stand. I'm still standing. My Apple Watch is currently trying to figure out what is going on in my routine. You've stood longer today than you have all week. What is going on? This is great. All right. Go ahead and get those poll answers in. We'll get Dr. Mysheika Roberts up here on the stage. And we'll transition to our keynote. All right. Are you ready to go to the next level in your career? We have 63% saying, yes, I stay ready. And 38% saying, I'm mentally preparing for something new. So my hope for you is that the insight that you received from panel 2, as well as the foundation that you received from panel 1, helps you in that stage that you're in, really helps you move to kind of that moment of level up. When things get challenging, that's a good thing. That means that we've entered a new universe, you know, of leveling up. Doesn't always mean a bad thing. It doesn't always mean that we're taking a step back. Sometimes it means that we just took a step forward, right, into that new universe of life, of our careers, of our families, structures, of serving our communities. All right, so we'll go ahead and close that poll. And we will transition to our keynote. I see Dr. Roberts coming to the stage right now. Dr. Roberts, welcome. Thank you for being here with us today. I have to say, I am just blown away by the contributions from you, both as part of your job and as service to our community. I know that you and your team are hard at work to protect the health and improve the lives of all of us here in Columbus. And especially, right, given the pandemic, we are just so fortunate to have your expertise in addressing, you know, the critical public health issues that we face, including the complexity of COVID-19, you know, and what that has brought to our lives and our communities and our routines and our careers. So thank you for being here with us today. I will pass the microphone to you now.
Well, great. Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I got to listen to a little bit of your last panel and really some insightful advice and practices from women in our community. So thanks for that. I'm excited to be here this afternoon and really honored that you all asked me to tell you a little bit about public health and specifically how we're responding to COVID-19 and the pandemic. And I thought it would be fitting in light of the work of Dress for Success that I gave you a little bit of background about myself and how I got into public health to begin with. So what was my path to public health? Well, I must admit, I was very blessed. I grew up in a healthcare or medical household. My father was a practicing physician. He had his own private practice as an internist in Los Angeles, California. And my mother is a nurse. She's actually a psychiatric nurse by training, but during my youth, she worked in the schools and was a school nurse. And so I had firsthand experience of what it was like to be in the medical field and specifically as a physician. And I must admit, I really admired the relationship that my dad had with his patients. I spent a lot of time shadowing him as a kid in his office or as he did rounds in the hospital. So I told my parents at a pretty young age that I wanted to be a physician. And I was allowed to do some things to really verify that. I was a candy striper in high school, went into college being a pre-med major. I went to UC Berkeley in California. And I was a huge Laker fan. And so while in college, knowing I wanted to go to med school, Magic Johnson came out and told the world that he was HIV positive. So as a collegiate, as well as a huge Laker fan, I was pretty devastated by that news because up until then, most people thought that HIV was a gay white man's disease. So to see this strong Black athlete who was apparently straight get diagnosed with HIV was a little unnerving for many of us. And it drew me to take a public health class at UC Berkeley. And I got interested in public health and thought maybe I could have a career in public health and bypass med school. Well, I went straight from college to get my master's in public health. Halfway through my program, I realized now I definitely wanted to get my medical degree. I thought as a woman and a woman of color, I needed that extra boost to make sure I could advance in my career. So after receiving my master's in public health from that school up north, also called University of Michigan, I then went on to matriculate in med school and finished med school, did internal medicine just like my father, and then coming out of residency, had to decide how I was going to really merge my interest in public health and my medical degree. I found a job in Baltimore where I was attending med school and did my residency to run an STD clinic in Baltimore for the Baltimore City Health Department. And from there, I worked there for a few years. Then I went and worked for the Centers for Disease Control, which detailed me to a position here in Ohio. And really the rest is history. I've been working at Columbus Public Health since 2006 as the Assistant Health Commissioner and Medical Director. And in December of 2017, I was named Health Commissioner. I was the first African American to ever hold that position here in the city of Columbus, and I was the second female. So here on this slide, you see a picture of me and my family at the celebration of me being named the Health Commissioner with Mayor Ginther. You see a picture of me. So that's how I got into public health. It's truly a passion of mine and one that I have enjoyed for many years now. So let's go on and talk about what you probably all really want to hear. Is not about me, but about COVID-19 and how our community is responding to that. I'll go ahead and take the next slide. Here you see the number of cases we have in the Columbus jurisdiction. And just for those of you who don't know, Columbus Public Health is responsible for the care of not only Columbus residents, but also the city of Worthington. So the Columbus jurisdiction includes both of those cities. And then countywide, you see our numbers. We're up to almost 120,000 cases of COVID-19 right here in Franklin County. If you look at our deaths, we've had about 1,430 deaths countywide. Almost a little less than 50% of those have been in long-term care facilities. You see our age breakdown, our gender breakdown is almost 50-50, and our percentage of healthcare workers is about 5%. At the beginning of the pandemic, that number was much larger among healthcare workers, and we have, as a result of proper PPE and understanding how this virus was transmitted, we were able to protect our healthcare workers and get that number down. I'll go ahead and take the next slide. You hear us talk a lot about the disparities, and obviously there were health disparities before this pandemic, but this pandemic has really shined the light on the disparities that exist all across our nation. So here you see the percentage of cases that are white in the red, orange are African American, and the dark blue is Hispanic, and light blue is Asian. Here in the city of Columbus and Franklin County, African Americans make up about 29% of the population, Hispanics make up about 6%, and Asians make up about 5%. So when you look at our cases, they appear to be relatively evenly distributed between the races. But when you look at the hospitalizations, again, African Americans make up 29% of the population, 20% of the cases, but 38% of the hospitalizations. So African Americans are suffering disproportionately from severe cases of COVID-19. And then when we look at the deaths, again, it's higher than what we saw for the case count. So it's something that we need to be concerned about. And there are a number of different reasons we can talk about explaining why that is. African Americans have known to have many chronic health conditions even before this pandemic. And we know that conditions like heart disease and lung disease put you at increased risk for the severe consequences of this virus. We also know that many African Americans are working at the front lines and they can't work from home. So they can't avoid being exposed to others. And thus they are more likely to be exposed while they're at work and then to get infected. And then we also know that many minorities, not just African Americans, live in multi-generation households. So when one individual in that household gets infected, because sometimes they have a very small footprint in that house, they're not able to isolate and quarantine the way we would want them to unless they expose other members in their household. So those are just a few of the reasons why we see this disproportionate number in our minority community. So let's take the next slide and show you by age. Our 20 to 29-year-olds continue to be our highest age group of individuals infected with COVID-19. We can come up with a lot of different reasons for that. They are bold. They don't want to follow the health guidance. They have not stayed at home. They're being active. And you could also argue they're also more likely to be frontline workers who cannot remote or work from home. Second to them are our age group of 30 to 39. And you can see the breakdown here. Of note, I just want you to see what we see in our 0 to 19. They are really the third highest group. Many were concerned about them going back into the classroom and how that would change things. And it has not changed the ranking in terms of the number of cases we see in that age group. So let's go on and let's talk about the good things. Let's talk about how we can prevent the spread of COVID-19. So for the last really 12 months, I guess, well, really the last 9 months before December, you heard us talk about 3 things in public health that we could all do to slow down the spread and to avoid getting COVID-19. The first was wear a mask. Wear a mask when you're out in public, wear a mask when you're in crowds, wear a mask when you're around people who aren't in your household, wear a mask when you're in your workplace. The second was wash your hands. We told you to wash your hands frequently, avoid touching your eyes and nose. If you don't have access to soap and water, use hand sanitizer. Then we talked about staying 6 feet away from individuals, even with a mask on, and avoiding large crowds. And then in December of 2020, hope really arrived in the form of a vaccine. And actually, we were fortunate. In December, we had 2 vaccines come to the market. And since then, in the last week, we've had a 3rd vaccine come into the market. So now, really, I want to emphasize that getting our community vaccinated is the fastest and the safest way we're going to get back to some sense of normalcy. So you're going to hear me talk more about the vaccine here in the coming slides. So I'll go ahead and take the next slide. As I mentioned, we have 3 safe and very effective vaccines. Let me tell you some of the other benefits of the COVID-19 vaccine. It will keep you, if you get vaccinated with the COVID-19 vaccine, either one of them, it will reduce your chances of getting sick with COVID-19. All 3 vaccines are 100% effective at reducing death and hospitalization from COVID-19. It's a very safe way for you to build immunity and protection and long-lasting immunity. Now, if you get infected with COVID-19 naturally, you will get some immunity. We're not certain how long that immunity will last, but we're also not certain if that's a safe way to build immunity because that comes with risk. We have no idea of knowing if you get infected naturally with COVID-19, whether you're going to have a mild course of the infection or a severe course of the infection. So again, the vaccine is the safest way to build that immunity. And it's one of the most important tools we have right now to really stop this pandemic and get to the other side of the pandemic and to get to some sense of normalcy sooner rather than later. I'll go ahead and take the next slide. I want to try to dispel some of the myths about the vaccine. There's a lot of misinformation about all the vaccines, and I want to try to set the stage straight for all of you so you understand. First and foremost, the vaccine is not a live vaccine. It will not cause you to get COVID-19, okay? The second thing is it will not cause you to test positive for COVID-19. What the vaccine does is it helps teach your immune system how to respond to COVID-19 if it were introduced to COVID-19 in the future. Two of the vaccines on the market are made on a messenger RNA platform. None of the vaccines, including the 2 made on messenger RNA, will do anything to alter your DNA. Okay, your DNA is set in stone. It will not be changed. The messenger RNA vaccines do not change or alter your DNA. Now, none of the vaccines on the market contain fetal or human cells. That being said, one of the vaccines on the market, that being the Johnson & Johnson, was made from fetal cells, meaning that some of the background of the vaccine, how they created the vaccine was from fetal cells, but the vaccine itself does not contain any fetal or human cells. None of the vaccines contain pork or meat products. And the vaccines do not have any tracking device. That's been some information that the vaccines can help the government. If you're vaccinated, the government can track you better. That is not correct. Another myth I've heard out there is the vaccines can cause you to become infertile. And that is not true. There's no evidence to support that, nor are there any other vaccines that are on the market that have caused women to become infertile. So those are just some of the myths that I've heard that I want to dispel here quickly in the beginning of this. So let's talk about, and I'll go ahead and take the next slide. Let's talk about how these vaccines are safe and effective and how they got to the market so quickly. Usually, when you think about creating a vaccine, it can take anywhere from 3 to 11 years for a vaccine to get on the market. This vaccine got on the market in less than a year. That has given people a lot of pause. In addition to that, there was something that the federal government called Operation Warp Speed. That name alone has given people a lot of pause and concern. Were safety measures missed? And they were not. No safety measures were missed. What I want to assure you is all three of the vaccines that we currently have on the market right now have gone through all three of the 4 phases of clinical trials. We are currently in phase 4. They're waiting full FDA approval. They've all received emergency use authorization, but they don't have full FDA approval because they haven't been used in the population long enough. Usually that full FDA approval comes after 2+ years of being used in a human population. Clearly, we don't have 2+ years at this point in time, but they all have received emergency use authorization. The first phase, they take a small group of individuals and they make sure the vaccine is safe. They make sure there are no harming effects to individuals when they get the vaccine. All 3 passed that. Then they went to phase 2 and phase 3. The difference and the reason why we were able to expedite the production of these vaccines in such a short period of time are a few different reasons. First and foremost, the 3 phases that you see up here, usually they happen back to back. Once you finish phase 1, you go on to phase 2 and then phase 3. They did these phases concurrently. So phase 1, 2, and 3 all happen at the same time. In addition to that, that expedited things. In addition to that, they had a vast number of people sign up to get the vaccines. You can imagine we're in the midst of a pandemic. People were desperate. They wanted to see what they could do to protect themselves. So they all raised their hand to sign up for the vaccine. Traditionally, when we have a vaccine clinical trial, we have about 5,000 individuals sign up for a vaccine clinical trial. For Pfizer, I believe there were about 30,000 people sign up for the clinical trial. I think Moderna had about 37,000. And if you look at Johnson & Johnson, they had close to 60,000 more, but not more, 60,000 plus individuals sign up. But the Johnson & Johnson vaccine clinical trials did not just occur here in the United States. They occurred around the world, specifically in South America, as well as South Africa. That's something to keep in mind when we talk about the effectiveness of these vaccines. And the third reason why we were able to expedite things so quickly is some of these companies did get some governmental financial support to speed things along, meaning to create the vaccines faster so that we could get the volume we needed to vaccinate our residents here in the United States as well as around the world. But I assure you, there were no shortcomings made when it came to the safety of this vaccine. The vaccines are safe and they've proven to be effective thus far. Let me go ahead and go to the next slide. So, talk about the 3 vaccines. I want to break it down for you so that you can see the difference in these vaccines. First and foremost, I cannot emphasize enough that all 3 of the vaccines are equally effective at preventing death from the virus and preventing hospitalizations from the virus. That has been proven in the clinical trials. All 3 of them have been effective in doing that. That being said, there are some differences between the 3 vaccines that everyone needs to understand. The first is the first 2 vaccines, Pfizer and Moderna, are made off of messenger RNA, a relatively new vaccine, but not completely new. It has been used before, platform to create a vaccine. The Moderna and the Pfizer vaccine are also required 2 doses. You get your first dose, and then for the Pfizer, 21 days later, you get your second. For Moderna, 28 days later, you get your second. And the clinical trials that were done with Pfizer and Moderna, which were done in the earlier part of the pandemic, before some of these variants were identified, and they were only done in the United States, showed that Pfizer was 95% effective and Moderna was 94% effective. I also want you to understand that Pfizer and Moderna have to be stored at very, very cold temperatures, frozen temperatures, okay? And then they have to be defrosted before they can be given or injected into somebody. But I can't emphasize enough that these are 2-dose vaccines. They require to be stored in very cold temperatures, and the clinical trials were done in the earlier part of the pandemic. They were done by November when we started to identify some of those variants, and they were only done in the United States. The third vaccine we have on the market is Johnson & Johnson. Johnson & Johnson didn't get onto the market until February. They were going through clinical trials while we had variants circulating, not only here in the United States, but elsewhere. Their study population for the clinical trials for the Johnson & Johnson included South America, where we know we have a strong variant, South Africa, where we also know we have a strong variant, as well as here in the United States, where we know some of those variants are circulating. The Johnson & Johnson is a 1-dose vaccine. You only need 1 dose. And then the Johnson & Johnson can be stored in a regular refrigerator. It makes it more convenient to be used in doctor's offices in rural areas and areas that don't have access to freezers. Some of these, the Pfizer vaccine requires you to purchase a special freezer that actually goes that low and keeps things that cold. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine, again, occurred later in the pandemic. The clinical trials occurred later in the pandemic and was found to be 77% effective at reducing infection, but 100% effective at reducing death and hospitalization. Health experts, including myself, recommend that the best vaccine for you is the first vaccine that's offered to you. So if you're eligible for the vaccine here in Ohio, I strongly encourage you to take the first vaccine that is offered to you. I'm sure there'll be some questions about this in the question and answer, and I'll be happy to address those as best I can. But that's the breakdown of the 3 vaccines we have thus far. So let's talk about eligibility of the vaccine. The CDC has put out some guidance for who should get the vaccine first, but it's really up to the states to decide how they want to distribute the vaccine. So here in the state of Ohio, we've decided, or they have decided, on a 4-phased approach. Phase 1 is when vaccine is very limited. In December, we started with phase 1A, which primarily consisted of healthcare staff who were going to have contact with a presumed COVID-19 case, and those working and living in congregate care settings like treatment facilities and long-term care facilities. As vaccine supply becomes more readily available, like it's starting to be right now, we are moving into other phases. So right now, the individuals who are eligible for the vaccine here in Ohio are phase 1A, again, healthcare workers, those living and working in long-term care facilities, and EMS workers. Phase 1B included those over the age of 65, those born with medical conditions, and those under the care of Developmental Disability Board. And then phase 1C are a host of medical conditions, which include pregnancy, ALS, type 1 diabetes, and I am missing one. It'll come to me in a second. And then occupations like law enforcement, funeral home directors, and childcare workers. Also in phase 1B is K through 12 educators. And then phase 2 are those 60 and up. So medical conditions for phase 1C are type 1 diabetes, pregnancy, ALS. It'll come to me. I can't think of it right now. I apologize for that. But these are the phases. So let's talk a little bit about what we're doing at Columbus Public Health. And I'll take the next slide. Again, the vaccine phases or the schedules of who's eligible comes out to us by the state health board, Ohio Department of Health, and the governor's office. As a vaccine provider, we have to follow the state's guidance of who's eligible. So again, right now, we are primarily focused on phase 1B, 1C, and 2. And vaccine supply is starting to become more readily available. I just found out from my staff this morning that we've got 4,000 appointment slots for next week. So if you live or work in Columbus or Worthington, please give us a call. And if you're eligible for the vaccine, please give us a call and we'll get you vaccinated. You can call us at 614-645-1519, or you can go to our website, columbus.gov/coronavirus. If you want to look at other vaccine providers outside of Franklin County or outside of Columbus Public Health, you can go to the state's website, which is vaccine.coronavirus.ohio.gov. And on that site, you'll see not only health departments and hospitals who have the vaccine, but also many pharmacies that have the vaccine as well. So I'll go ahead and take you to the next slide. Columbus Public Health is primarily providing our vaccine at the Celeste Center at the fairgrounds. Thus far, we have given over 46,000 vaccines, and 18,000 of those have been second doses. So those are 18,000 individuals who are fully vaccinated from Columbus Public Health. This does not include other partners in the city of Columbus and Franklin County, but this is what we've done at Columbus Public Health. So again, you can also go to your healthcare provider if they're associated with one of the hospital systems, local pharmacy, and area FQHCs also have the vaccine. So I mentioned earlier that we've seen some disparities in how this virus impacts different races in our community. We're also seeing disparities on who wants to get the vaccine. And what's concerning to me is many minorities are reluctant to get the vaccine. Yet this is the same population that's been disproportionately impacted by the virus itself. So it's really important that we provide accurate information to everyone in our community about the vaccine so they can make an informed decision. But it's also important that we give some practical guidance and education to our minority community. There's many reasons why African Americans particularly and other minorities are reluctant to get vaccinated with this new vaccine. You see some of them here. There's mistrust about the healthcare community. There's a lot of misinformation. What we're hearing, particularly from our Latino and Somali population, is they're hearing from family and friends that live outside the United States about the vaccine and the vaccine effectiveness. And some of the vaccines being dispersed in other parts of the world are not the same vaccines that we're using here. And so the information they're hearing from their family and friends outside of the United States might not be accurate to what's going on here in the United States. Access is a problem. Obviously, there's language barriers, but we also know there's a digital divide here in our country and our community. And many low-income individuals, as well as many minorities, don't have access to internet to be able to schedule some of these appointments. We have made it a must that people can also call us, and we've created a call center to make registering by phone available. But not all healthcare providers have done that, or have done that as easily as we've tried to make it. So that's been a barrier. And then we can't deny the historical mistreatment by the medical community with minorities, particularly African Americans. So whether you're talking about the Tuskegee study, whether you're talking about Henrietta Lacks. And what I also remind people is whether you're talking about just the last time you sought medical care and you felt that you weren't treated appropriately because you were African American, all of those issues have produced a lot of angst and reluctance in the African American community to get vaccinated. And not to mention just the name, as I mentioned earlier, Operation Warp Speed turned off a lot of individuals. So vaccine hesitancy is real. And again, it's not just for minorities, it's for everyone. And we must acknowledge it, and we must provide education to the community so that they have accurate information and they can make the best decision for themselves as well as their families. So Columbus Public Health created a vaccine equity plan. I'll run through this really quick because I want to make sure we have time for question and answers. We've looked at 3 different approaches: increasing access, removing barriers, and increasing communication. So increasing access, we're putting aside 20% of the vaccine allotment we get every week to make sure we focus on the vulnerable populations. We're making sure we collect race data. We're refining that regularly because we're finding many people in our community are reluctant to share their race, and they think they're going to get a different form of vaccine or different treatment if they disclose their race, particularly if they're minorities. We started a weekly opportunity clinic where we are focused on individuals who live and work in 17 of our high-risk zip codes. And that opportunity clinic takes place at the health department versus our drive-through clinic. And we really try to provide them some one-on-one care and assistance for those at our opportunity clinic. We're also using CDC Social Vulnerability Index to determine which neighborhoods we go to with our mobile team to provide vaccines. As I mentioned earlier, we're removing barriers. We have 2 ways to register: a phone and online, and then we're using our mobile team And then we're trying to inform and engage vulnerable communities. I do a lot of talks with churches, with clergy, with community groups. We have a multimedia campaign that's coming out here soon, and we're working with some of our community partners to get some boots on the ground to do that one-on-one education with our community. Because again, not everyone has access to the news, to social media, and to events like this to get the information. So we know we need to provide some additional resources to some of our most vulnerable communities. I'll go ahead and move up 2 slides. And you can see our opportunity clinic. And those are the zip codes that we're focused on. If you live or work in one of those zip codes that you see there, our next clinic is this Friday. Registration opens Monday morning, and you can call 645-6444 or email your information to health@columbus.gov. If you need transportation to either this clinic or to the fairgrounds, there's numbers you can call for the Department of Aging. You can call 614-525-6200 or 614-259-7391 as well, if you need transportation to not only our vaccine clinic, but any of the vaccine clinics offered here in the county. And so with that, I think I am going to go to the last slide, and you can see some information and some very useful resources. Again, if you want information about the vaccine or you want to register for the vaccine through Columbus Public Health, you can go to our website, columbus.gov/coronavirus, or call us 614-645-1519. We're open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and on Saturday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. If you want to get updates on when we're opening more vaccine appointments at Columbus Public Health, you can sign up for our text system. You would text the message VAX CBUS to the number 888-777. Again, you text the message should read VAX CBUS to the number 888-777. You can also go to the Ohio Department of Health to get information about vaccines and where you can get a vaccine, vaccine.coronavirus.ohio.gov. And also check out CDC, cdc.gov/vaccine/COVID-19. Again, I encourage people to make sure they go to reliable resources to get information and not follow blogs by individuals who aren't professionals and are not sharing factual information. And that's how some people are getting misinformation about the vaccines. So if you are eligible, come on, get vaccinated. If you are not, I'm sure you have family and friends who are eligible to get vaccinated. I encourage everyone to roll up their sleeves and get vaccinated, but also get some factual information about the vaccines. So with that, I am going to stop, and I'll be happy to entertain any questions that any of you might have.
Awesome. Dr. Roberts, thank you so much. This is absolutely incredible information, and I can tell that our guests are energized by the questions that they're sharing. So I will just ask one that I think that you can answer quickly here. Are all 3 vaccines FDA approved? I have heard that none of them are approved.
So all 3 of the vaccines have received emergency use authorization. They have not received final FDA approval. Final FDA approval usually comes after the vaccines have been used in human population for about 2 years. Obviously, because of the pandemic, we don't have time for that. The vaccines will likely get FDA approval once that time span is over. And it's not that they won't get it. It's like usually we're not in such a rush to get a vaccine on the market because we're not in the midst of a pandemic. So typically what would happen is these vaccine clinical trials would happen, and then they'd wait some period of time after the clinical trials were over to see, what kind of response. Like, for example, we don't know how frequently we're going to need this vaccine. Is this going to be an annual vaccine? Or are you going to need a booster? We don't know that because we haven't followed the subjects long enough to have an answer for that. Once we have those kind of answers, then they will get final FDA approval. At this point in time, all 3 vaccines have received emergency use authorization.
That is wonderful. And Dr. Roberts, I'm going to ask one more question here, but we have some others from the team. Would it be okay if we follow up with your team after this event, and then we'll share the responses back out to our women?
Absolutely.
Great. Okay, so the last question that I will ask you is, what is the likelihood that the COVID vaccine will become a required vaccine?
Well, I think the COVID-19 vaccine could become a required vaccine. There are a few things that have to happen before that would occur. First of all, we need to get full FDA approval, not an emergency use authorization. And second of all, required vaccine, I would just pause because right now there are some employers who require a vaccine. There are vaccine expectations when kids enroll in school, but everyone always has an opportunity to opt out, whether it's for medical reasons or religious reasons. So if we get to a point that the COVID-19 vaccine is required, first, it'll need to get full FDA approval. And second, there will always be an option for individuals to opt out of it. I do anticipate in the future, we will see vaccines being expected, if not required, for some admission to different events. And they might not occur here in the United States, but for travel, particularly travel abroad, I do anticipate we might see, vaccine passports, so to speak. I think that we've got a few more months, if not a year or so before that happens, but I would not be surprised if we saw something like that happen before it was actually required by employers or schools.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you for taking the time to be here today with our guests. We know that you have a lot of responsibility right now, and we appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to join us.
No problem. Thank you. Thanks for having me, and enjoy the rest of your day, ladies.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Again, thank you, Dr. Roberts, for your time today, sharing your time and expertise. Beyond grateful for you bringing education and awareness around COVID-19. To everyone in the room, I encourage you to share the facts gained today with your loved ones, friends, family, and network. We all want to get back to normal, right? And we want to do it safely. So share that love of truth and facts with your network. And now we are moving to a poll. And the poll question is, what do you think about self-care? Self-care, what is that? Self-care is so important to me. I do what I can when I find time. What are your thoughts around self-care? I think we have a few more seconds before the poll will close. All right. Oh, heart be still. Good way. Good to know you ladies are on it and taking care of yourself. 75% of you, self-care is so important to me, and that is amazing to hear. 25%, we'll work on it together. I hope you've enjoyed all the powerful panels that you've engaged with thus far. The final panel, believe me, will not disappoint. The final panel is panel 3, My Sister's Journey is Mine. And moderating that panel is Danni Wolfe. Danni Wolfe is a financial services professional with WestPoint Financial Group. She provides objective and customized financial strategies to help meet the financial needs of her clients. In her free time, Danni enjoys volunteering with Dress for Success Columbus and is currently serving as our Woman of Power. Danni also enjoys skiing and baking. I'll need some cookies. So I'll pass the mic to you, Danni, so you can introduce the amazing women of panel 3. Thank you, ladies, for being here.
Thank you for having me. Boy, anybody else completely blown away by all the speakers today? That's pretty amazing. So with that, I'd like to introduce Danielle, Lorena, and Okeama. Come on in. While they're coming in, I'll just say that DFS Columbus has just done wonders for myself. And I wouldn't be in this position today if it weren't for all the support and guidance and just the wonderful programs that are part of this great organization. So ladies, make sure you're off mute, if you can do that. And I'm gonna ask you to introduce yourself. Tell me a little bit about who you are, if you have kids or not, your family, where you work and what your position is. Danielle, would you like to start?
Absolutely. Can everybody hear me? Yeah.
Yep.
Mic check. Okay, thanks. Thanks everyone. So glad to be here. Thanks so much, Danni. Yes, my name is Danielle. I am a mother and I work and just all encompassing. So I work as an administrative assistant for the Ohio Restaurant Association Education Foundation. I also am a mother of a dynamic, now teenage daughter. A dynamic, capital D. Yes, and I am obviously I'm a participant, advocate, supporter, volunteer, donor. The list goes on of Dress for Success. So, and I'm so delighted to be here with Okeama and Lorena as well.
Awesome. Lorena, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Hi, I'm Lorena C. Brown. I'm a journalist, editor, and writer. I'm from Uruguay. I moved to United States in 2017, and now I'm the new editor of Impacto, new Spanish newspaper in Philadelphia.
Great, glad to have you. And last but not least, Okeama, tell us about yourself.
Hello, everyone. Glad to be here. My name is Okeama Bassett. I am the proud mother of 5 kids. I have 1 grandson. I volunteer, donate. I have participated with Dress for Success for several years and have really enjoyed the journey. I have worked in the real estate title industry for about 22 years and currently serving as the quality control manager at Land Sale Title.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Danielle, I know what you're talking about with the teenagers. My twins are 15, 1 boy, 1 girl. So I have drama in stereo. All right, let's get started. Danielle, tell me about how Dress for Success Columbus has supported your professional growth journey.
Sure, absolutely. So I cannot say Dress for Success in a sentence without mentioning transformation. Dress for Success has touched so many facets of my life, but as we're speaking of professional growth, I will touch on that. Specifically, Dress has sparked and supported my professional journey through various through the connection and opportunity and diverse experiences that have sort of helped to shape my current circumstances and to prepare me for success in the next level of my journey. Has supported me through a network, personal and professional. Wow, and nothing short of instrumental. Tools and resources, and a very strong and empowering and relevant programming. which this is just touching the surface with the Professional Women's Group, PWG, Women to Women Mentorship Program, and Power Hour. Again, just touches the surface of the dynamic programming that that Dress has provided and continues to provide, with very strong partnership throughout the community as well. So those are a couple of things that Dress has definitely provided to help me along my journey.
Wonderful. And Lorena, tell me about how Dress for Success Columbus has supported your professional growth journey.
Well, when I moved to United States in 2017, I felt completely lost professionally because I was editor-in-chief in a newspaper, and when I came here, I was nothing. I didn't have a profession, especially because my English is not so good, and I work, of course, in Spanish. But the amazing women from Dress for Success helped me with my confidence, with the interviewing program, helped me to know what answer in a job interview. And the mentoring program, Women to Women, helped me to have the courage to look for what I want. I love you girls. You make me feel that I found friends, empowering friends that encourage me all the time. And I'm very thankful for that.
Wonderful. Okeama, again, how has Dress for Success supported your professional growth journey?
They have just been phenomenal. I have had several students because I've transitioned through several jobs over the years, and it's been great to interview and know that whether I have the ability to afford an outfit, to look professional, I could use them as a resource for clothing or for resume writing, even for interview preparation. And their networking has been just great. I have been able to meet so many people, and before COVID, I've come to many of these conferences, and it has just been phenomenal to meet so many people who are just wanting to help and direct you and elevate you to the next level.
Absolutely. And I'll ask you, Okeama, Danielle said one word that she describes Dress as transitional. Do you have one word that would best describe Dress?
Yes, I would just say powerful.
And what about you, Lorena?
Encouragement. They help me.
Okay, awesome. Okay, let's go on to our second question. So I'm going to kind of mix this up a little bit. Lorena, why don't you go first today? What has been your greatest professional accomplishment, and what did it take to get there?
Well, I published 2 bilingual children's books, and my first book, The Special Ostrich, was recognized by the International Latino Book Award in 2020. And I was informed last night that my second book, The Pretentious Heron, received an honorable mention in the Campoy Ada Award from the North American Academy of the Spanish Language.
Awesome.
And I also expect to be added to the writer pool for an upcoming Curriculum Association Spanish Reading Comprehension Project for grades 3 to 5. This project is expected to start in June or July. And I'm so happy because that will allow me to reach children from all over the country. And what takes me, just apply, feeling that I have the chance. My mentor told me, send an email, apply, go for it. You don't lose anything. And that is what takes me.
That's awesome. And congratulations. Felicidades. So,
thank
yes.
you. Gracias, gracias.
Okay, Okeama, what has been your greatest professional accomplishment, and what did it take you to get there?
You know what? I was a teenage mother. So I had my first child at 18. And I think sometimes you are just excited to be able to make a living, to take care of your responsibility, your child.
Mhm.
I went on to beauty school, became a beautician, and fast forward, I ended up in real estate later on. But I think I worked and, you know, I made a lower amount of money, less money, because I wanted the flexibility to be able to be available for my children. And over the years, I think sometimes I think companies almost take advantage of that with mothers, that you're just glad to have a job. So they're not really that willing to give you that many raises all the time. And as my children have gotten older, like the youngest is 18 now. So in the last several years, I have just felt really empowered to say, you know what, I really do know my worth in this industry. I know what type of customer service that I provide. I know what type of professional person that I am with the company. You know, I take pride in how I present myself and represent the company, and just demanding the financial equity that I think we deserve as women. I just haven't taken no for an answer for what I want, negotiate for the finances, if it's a certain amount of weeks vacation when you go to another job, to ask for it, because I think men do it all the time. And sometimes, you know, we want to be timid and passive and just be glad to get a job. And it's no, you ought to be glad to have me there, you know?
I think you need your own podcast, Okeama. I could listen to that every morning. Seriously. And Danielle, let's finish up this question with you. What has been your greatest professional accomplishment, and what did it take for you to get there?
Oh, I think that's, thanks, Danny. I think that's twofold. I think, Okeama, you made a great point, and I want to touch on that is, you know, through my involvement with dress, for sure, that's where I've come to, like, full circle, where I'm like, okay, I can actually make decisions that are in my benefit, and to what do I want? What is, you know, what works well, what aligns, and find out what aligns with me and professionally, personally, and whatnot. So that's a great point. Absolutely a great point. And then I was thinking along the lines of, okay, so I had a previous job where I was there for almost 6 years. I loved my work there. I was an administrative assistant at a medical distribution center, and not part of my job description, but within 2 years of being there, I ended up taking on I want to say spearheading the role of HR liaison, you know, unofficial, right? But I loved it. I was given the autonomy. You know, what did it take to get there? I was given autonomy and ownership over that, and I had the ambition to learn. And I remained curious, was collaborative, again, a willingness to just step in and just take on and I loved it. And that's sort of where I'm at right now. And, you know, in my career is that I'm a student as well. I'm a mother, an employee, and I'm also a student at Columbus State. And, you know, I'm studying human resource management. And I think that is going to be a great pathway for me at this point in time in my career. Not saying that there haven't been setbacks, right? There have definitely been setbacks. But again, as mentioned earlier, is having gratitude and perspective as to why, you know, what it is I'm going through at that time. It's a stepping stone to lead me somewhere. Maybe not the path that I have set out for myself, but it's taken me to where I need to be.
Absolutely. And all four of us, I think, probably have gotten so much support from dress with so many different areas that I know myself when I originally walked in the door, I thought they were just going to hand me some clothes, pat me on the back and say, see you later. And here I am 5 years later, and I had no idea the impact, not only on myself, but just on every woman that I see come in and really, really do wonderful things. And then we all have the sisterhood where we just look back, who's behind me and who can I reach a hand out to give advice to, or mentorship, or, whatever it is. And I think that's the beauty of this organization. So we're going to kind of wrap up here. And my last question is kind of, what lasting remarks would you like to empower all of your sisters to just go get it all? And Okeama, I'll put you on the pedestal first. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. Stop waiting for Superman and let's save ourselves.
Love it. Danielle?
Oh, I have a list, y'all. I have a list, okay? Okay. To keep moving, don't give up. To put in the work. I think it was mentioned earlier, is that it's not just going to happen. In a couple of earlier panel, it's not just going to happen unless I put in the work.
Right.
To keep exploring. I've learned from the last 2 years, I'm 39 now, that it's never too late to keep exploring, to surround yourself with a support system that aligns with your purpose as well, to let go of or draw boundaries as far as those that may not serve you. As far as I'm concerned, my circle has changed as I've grown.
Absolutely.
And and that's been a sign of growth for me as well. And to ask for help and to take care of yourself.
That's amazing. And Lorena? Oh, sorry, I lost my question. What lasting remarks would you like to empower our sisters to just go get it all?
Well, many times we don't achieve our dream because we feel scared. We don't even try. Another time we have many obstacles that the way becomes too difficult. But no matter what your dreams are, go for them. Don't forget who you are and what you want. And like Danielle say, it's never late. I know for myself. And you are free and strong. Go to go anywhere and achieve what you want.
Awesome. I will echo a little bit of all four of you ladies. Remarks from me are, it's the day-to-day, don't give up. I mean, it's not the big events really in life. It's the little pebble in your shoe every single day that you just have to keep grinding. Don't give up your dream, because the how and how do I even begin to do this? That's not even your question. It's what do I want to do and where do I want to be? Those are your questions. And when you have those two figure out, you can lean on dress, you can lean on mentors, you can lean on friends and family, and the how just kind of clicks into place. But people put the how first, and they're like, oh, I can never do that. How am I going to do that? That's not even your question. So one of the big bonuses that I have achieved over and over from dress is just get in alignment of who you are and what do I want to do, and then they help everything else happen. So this is our panel. Anyone else have any other questions? We can open it up for questions now. Stephanie, do we have questions?
We did receive a great comment that Dorton's interview dress has also been her church dress, her Christmas concert dress, accessorized for everything for 5 years now. Well, Dorton, you come back in and visit us. But I'm so glad that we were able to meet your needs. And ladies, you guys have been absolutely incredible. We are so proud of what you have accomplished, of the role that you play with Dress for Success. And we're grateful for your support. I'm gonna leave us with one question here from Jackie. How did each of you decide to do what you do? How are you here where you are today?
I'll jump in on that if I could.
Sure.
That is an excellent question because it was, for me, it was through the programs of dress that I explored, and I took assessments, and I've had several exploratory interviews, really just trying to find out, okay, if this is my path, okay, let me find out a little bit more about it. And I've gone different ways. I've gone from digital design to human resource management, two totally opposite, ends of the spectrum, but asking questions and immersing myself in the programming, such as dresses programs, to help me figure that out. And it's going to change, it's going to change as I grow.
Lorena?
Well, my case is completely different. When I live in my country, Uruguay, I want to be a lawyer, but I couldn't study for that because that meant that I need to move to another city, and I didn't have money for that. But I take the opportunity to work in a newspaper. I won a contest, and I started to work when I was 18, and for me it was amazing. It's like life put in front of me a really good opportunity, and I took it. And when I moved here to United States, like writing fiction and writing stories was like a consequence of so many years writing articles for a newspaper, and was a huge door to open in front of me. And again, I took the opportunity and I do it.
That's great. So many people have opportunities and they don't recognize that they're opportunities, and they miss those. Okay, Okeama.
You know what? I would say my resourcefulness is what has helped to get me where I am now, because I think there's so many opportunities in Central Ohio, period, whether it's with Dress for Success, the Urban League. There's so many organizations that's the answer to the questions and the issues that we have. And they're willing to just help us level up. And, but we have to be looking for them. We have to be in that position, open to the opportunity. And because nobody's going to knock on our door and just drop it in our lap. So we have to be looking for it. And we have an amazing library system. They're willing to help you with, any search you have. So I think put yourself in a position to be open to any opportunity.
That's wonderful. For me, I had a degree in graphic design and was struggling to get full-time work. And so I kind of veered off the path there into a couple other things. And I was seriously considering opening up a commercial bakery because I had been running this bakery off of Facebook and I had a lot of business. Well, I met this guy, is not always the way, but I met this guy, had an interview to put some desserts on his food truck. And it turns out he was in finance. So he said, you know what? You would be excellent at this because it's a people-to-people business. And so I was like, what? You know what? I love it. I ended up acing almost all my education. I did really well on that. I love what I do. And I am so lucky that I was kind of like all the back end work, all the preparation really was kind of glued together by dress. And so when this opportunity, like Lorena, when this opportunity came along that was completely different, I had a lot of the skills. All I had to do was learn the specifics. And so now I'm with this great company and I get to educate people on how their money works. And for me, again, back to the dress, it's just the whole program that gets you started. So it takes all your energy and they just help you point it. So thank you. Anyway, a million times.
Thank you, ladies, so much for joining us today. You are an inspiration to all of us. We are proud to call you Dress for Success Sisters, and we appreciate the way that you continue to advocate for this work. So thank you for joining us today. We are going to bring Bridget up to run our last poll of the day. and then we'll move forward with the program. Ladies, have a wonderful day.
Thank you. You as well.
Thank you, my sisters. Thank you again for sharing your inspiring journeys with us today. It's always a pleasure to be among sisters, and I'm wishing you beauties continued success in all that you do. Are we ready for another poll? Let's see what we're polling on. Poll question 3. How have you been inspired today? I'm ready to tell my family and friends about Dress for Success. I would love to be more involved. I didn't know I could receive services. I'm ready for an appointment. Lots of inspiring words shared today. I hope you've been taking notes. We've got a few more seconds to the poll. And our results, 47% would love to be more involved, and we would love to engage with you. 43% are ready to tell family and friends about Dress for Success. Thank you, and please share the word. And 10%, we will definitely chat a little bit more about that here in a moment. All right. So, some of you, I hope you've enjoyed the day. It's been amazing content delivered. I hope you've been catching all the gems that were dropped. My mind is like hashtag level up mindset. I'm ready to go and get it all. We love to empower our sisters. And I would like to take a few moments to speak on our programs, just in case you didn't know what we offer or how we offer, especially as we are still moving through COVID-19. Of course, we are still suiting our sisters. However, it looks a little bit different than it did in the past. We now package up looks, and they're called Empowered Looks to Go. Whether you're interviewing or you're employed, we are here to serve you. You can give us a call, and all that information will be on our website, and I will give that information to you before you leave. But you can definitely reach out to us. We are here to serve you. Another amazing program that we offer is Interviewing for Success. Oh, I'm sorry. Empower Hour is offered every Friday from 1 to 2. And our topics cover job seeking, job search strategies, how to build a LinkedIn profile, how to make that resume stand out so you get the interview. They are facilitated by amazing leaders. You can find out what workshops are coming up on our website and actually register for them right on the website. I'm sorry, next slide. Jumping in too soon with that Interviewing for Success, I encourage every woman here to take full advantage of Interviewing for Success. Really helps you be the best you, work on that personal brand. You are matched with an amazing HR coach who will really work with you and help you define your brand, as well as articulate your unique value, how to sell yourself. Our next program is Professional Women's Group. We meet twice a month, and that would be the third Saturday of every month from 11 to noon. And then the following Tuesday evening from 6 to 7. It's an amazing network of sisters. The curriculum that we offer is financial literacy, professional development, health and wellness, and civic leadership. Our sisters from FPWG are amazing volunteers for the bag sale. Just a great way to network as well as level up. We also offer a women to women mentoring program. And with women to women, you make a 6-month commitment to work with a mentor on professional goals. And you'll work on those goals with your mentor through that 6-month time space. And we encourage 2 touches a month. That can be by phone, that can be in person if you're comfortable, and it can also be through email. We are recruiting for women to women. You can complete a mentee application on our website. Mentors, we need you as well. Please, if you have the time and would love to receive a mentee, you can also visit our website to complete a mentor application. Text my development to 254562. Receive program updates as well as information on giveaways, raffles, and other surprises. We always have something up our sleeve. Success InSight 2021 program sponsors, thank you so much. Thank you to all the amazing sponsors. We see them here: Bank of America, Franklin County PNC, City of Columbus, Lane Bryant, L Brands, Huntington, Big Lots, Cover My Meds, Greif, Talbot's, Encova, Catherine's. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I will close. Was that my last slide? No, it wasn't. Thank you. Complete the post-event survey that will be linked at the end of the event and emailed to you. Please complete the survey. You will be, the grand prize will be 2 virtual dine, drink, dress tickets for 2021. How exciting is that? And also, as a way to give back, you are our sisters in the room. I would encourage you to opt in to Be the Power. Be the Power for our sisters. You can donate $5 a month or $10 a month. Opting in at the $5 level will get you 1 ticket for Dine, Drink, Dress or Beyond the Suit. Opting in at the level of $10 a month will get you tickets to both events. And they are amazing and so fun. You will want to be there. Thank you, ladies, for your time. I'm going to pass the mic to Stephanie and Erica.
Erica, I'll let you kick us off.
All right. Thank you so much, Bridget. Thank you, everyone that participated in the day. I truly hope that everyone that's been watching, I wish I could see your beautiful faces, but I know you look fabulous. But I thank you for tuning in and sticking around with us the whole day. I hope that you walked away with some great gems. I know I did. I wrote down a bunch of nuggets that I'm going to take away with me from today. We have a great opportunity. We have some raffles and things that we want to announce, so don't leave just yet. So we have... Let's see, I guess I'll do the first round of winners. We have I know you might have heard this once or twice today, but the bag sale. Did you hear the bag sale? I did. And every time I hear that, I'm like, oh, shopping. So May 1st and 2nd is our bag sale, our spring bag sale. And this is 1 and 2. 2 women today have been won that. So we have Jerry Collier and Deborah Hannon that won vouchers for the bag sale for May 1 and 2. So that'll be emailed out to you very soon. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for you to come and shop all of the fabulous finds that we have here for the bag sale this year. You're going to be excited.
And am I next in the reveal? Okay, here we go. Toya Gray, congratulations. You were the first to log in and you are the winner of a $50 Pinzone and 2-week virtual pass to Lit Life and Yoga Studio. Ooh. And our next winners are Elizabeth Broadnex and Claudia Marshall. You are the winners of the Stacey Abrams book as well, and a Kroger gift card. Thank you, congrats.
And I get to wrap us up with the final winners for the day. Ms. Melissa Reeves and Jessica Callahan, winners of the Stacey Abrams book and another Kroger gift card. So we will reach out to you on Monday and tell you how to claim your prizes. Thank you for participating in the polls, and thank you for joining us today. I will.
Yeah, before we log off, we have a couple people asking us about our fab bag sale. Do you want to give us some information about that?
I do. So we're excited to share a few updates before we log off today. We can't thank you enough for taking the time to join us today. We loved having you on this beautiful Saturday morning. I know most of you, but not all of you. My name is Stephanie Merkel. I've been talking with a lot of you through the Q&A today. Thank you for your engagement. I lead our development and marketing work here at Dress, and I'm currently filling in as the interim director, and you have just made our day today. So I want to close us out with just a few reminders. A reminder to complete your survey that's coming out as soon as you log off today, and you will be entered to win D3 tickets to this year. So Miss Stephanie, thank you for asking us in the Q&A. Let me tell you about D3. So Dine, Drink, Dress is our annual party with a purpose. A lot of you have been able to join that event before. It's been in person for quite some years, but last year and as well as this year, it will be virtual. If you want to get a little taste of what that event is like, check us out on Facebook and you can rewatch D3 from last year. It is a party, and it is even a party virtually. But I think a lot of you would agree, maybe the best part is the swag that comes with your D3 ticket that we deliver right to your door. So save that date for June 10th. Fill out your survey and you might win the tickets. Also, our Be the Power donors, as Bridget referenced, that $5 a month also qualifies you for a no-cost ticket to D3. Finally, I want to say Happy Women's History Month, you guys. We have Success InSight this month because what better way to honor women, to honor what women have done to give us the opportunities that we have today and to really celebrate you. And so just a couple of quick updates on what we're doing to celebrate this month. If you've seen us on social media, both on Instagram and Facebook, you have seen our Power of Change campaign. We know that wallets are a symbol of independence. And so for that reason, we're doing a community-wide wallet drive this month. And those wallets can be dropped off with our partners at Easton through this amazing partnership with our friends at Bassett. And you can also drop them off here at the boutique. You can continue inspiring with Empower Her Notes of Inspiration. A lot of you ladies have received those little notes of inspiration after you visited us here at Dress. And so we're asking you to pay it forward and maybe grab your crafting materials, your family at home, your favorite quotes, some of the Superman comments perhaps that you heard today, and write those down. And if you drop those off to us here at Dress for Success, every woman that we empower receives a personal care kit, and we will drop a note of inspiration, your note of inspiration, in that personal care kit for another deserving woman. You can tune in to our Shattering Glass Ceilings production that's happening this month. We dropped our first episode just yesterday with the Assistant Fire Chief, Tracy Smith. So every week we'll be highlighting a woman in a non-traditional female role, really highlighting the game changers in our community. So those will be released every Friday at noon on Facebook. And then finally, we're asking you to be the power with us. If you enjoyed what you heard today, there's so much more to come. Think about what you heard from Bridget, and we invite you to join us in those programs. So as we close today, I want to remind you to give yourself grace, but to keep moving forward, keep pushing, because you own this and you deserve this. Happy Women's History Month, and we'll see you soon.